Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Thursday, July 10th. I hope everybody got some good sleep last night. I got a little bit of sleep last night, but we're here. We're live. We had a late night Grok stream, V4 introduction stream from Mr. Elon Musk. I think we ended the stream at like 2 a.m. last night, but it was worth it because we got to see Grok, and it was very exciting to see Elon introduce the newest LLM into the marketplace. The LLM that, well, Elon is saying, and based on some of the metrics that I looked at last night, it seems to be the best LLM that is out there from a benchmark perspective. And so we got to see it live last night. A lot of implications for NVIDIA, a lot of implications for XAI as a company. So we'll talk about that today, and we'll go through the ramifications for why that LLM is so important. But we got to see that last night. We got Delta earnings officially out this morning, and Delta shares are green. It's the first time, or it's basically the first earnings that we're getting for Q2. And this earnings is pretty damn good. I mean, Delta shares right here are up 12% in the pre-markets. We also have a stock that's up 50%, Materials Corporation, and we'll talk about why that one's up 50%. But Delta right here, look at that, 12.45%. Pretty much crushed earnings, which is nice. UAL, let's look at some of the other names. Wow, United's up 9%. They didn't even have earnings, but United's up. JetBlue is up 4%. And Southwest is up 4%. American Airlines is up 9% as well. So that's pretty incredible. So all the airlines are getting some love from this earnings. We'll talk more about Delta, and then we'll keep going from there. You got Materials Corporation. This one, the Pentagon is now taking a stake in this company. This is a rare earth minerals company. If anyone has this, you're probably waking up and you're pretty excited, up 52%. The Pentagon will be owning the United States Pentagon. That's part of the Department of Defense. They are taking a 40% stake in this company. So we'll go deeper into that, but that is why that one is getting so much love right here. And getting some momentum. yeah. I see some of you that own MP right now are super happy. Dude, I saw this in the morning. I was like, damn, the Pentagon, bro? The Pentagon's going to become the largest shareholder in this rare earth minerals company. There you go, up 40%. The Department of Defense will buy $400 million of preferred stock. MP Materials owns the only operational rare earth mine in the U.S. at Mountain Pass, California. It will build a second magnet manufacturing facility in the U.S. with the support of the Pentagon. We know that the alleged deal that we have with China is one of the main components of it is about rare earth minerals. So this is why this company has been in the news so much. But now, if you got the DOD putting $400 million into the stock and becoming the largest shareholder, there you go. That's why you're getting some momentum for MP. So we'll talk about that, and we'll keep going from there and discuss some of the other headlines that we've got going on. I do not have a cold. I just did not get that much sleep last night, but that's okay. We are here, and we are live. Why don't I ever wake up to one of these in my port? Yeah, dude, I told you, I don't think I've ever woken up to like the closest I think I've got into something like that is just like a stock running 20% in a day, like Palantir did a year ago. I think it was like in the summer or something. It ran up, and then Robinhood last week. But I've never had one of these stocks that like just jumps up 70% in a day, and I just happen to own thousands of shares. Like it's never happened to me. But if it's happening for you guys, then very, very exciting day for Materials Corporation, along with Congress taking a stake. Good morning, everybody. We will get into it. Yes, the ex-CEO stepped down. Some of you guys are just seeing that news, but that came out last night, or it came out on the Market Open yesterday. We'll talk about that. I kind of got overshadowed by all this stuff with Grok 4 that we'll talk about, but that news did happen yesterday as well, and kind of seems like Linda Yaccarino doesn't have a role anymore in X anyway, given that XAI acquired the company. So Elon said, hey, thanks for your contributions. It was kind of cold, but it seems like they're moving on from there. Gus says, damn, I went to bed listening to this dude, and now I'm starting my morning doing the same. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. All right, so let's get into it. I think we'll start off with Delta earnings because this one was a good earnings. And folks, this one really matters because the thing about Delta is that they are an airline, and airlines are indicative of travel. And so you kind of want to see airlines have the demand that's necessary to show that there is a healthy economy that's out there. Here is Grok took Linda's job. Grok 4, yeah. Grok 4 took Linda's job. Here are the actual numbers. They beat by 2% on EPS, 210 versus 206. Revenue, 15.5 versus 15.4. Guidance is what I think is really getting the street to get excited, because these numbers on the top line are not like the most impressive. But their guidance is basically saying, hey, for the rest of 2025, we are going to have a very healthy consumer, and there's not that much to be concerned about. Here's the Delta CEO and what he had to say on their earnings.
Delta Airlines shares are surging after earnings. Let's get to fill a bow with a special guest, Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian. Hey, Phil. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Joe. Ed, thank you very much. We just had the numbers we reported about a half hour ago. You beat the street for Q2, albeit expectations had been lowered. But more importantly, you give guidance for the full year, 525 to 625. The street's at 539. Right. But this is down substantially from what you guys expected in January of at least 735. Right. What's changed in the last 6 months that you're looking at full year now coming in lower than where you were expecting things to be in January?
Well, given the level of turbulence that we have seen, whether there's geopolitical conflicts going on in multiple regions around the world, you have the impact that we've seen from the tariff battles and all the global trade wars that are being waged. There's been a big pullback over the start of the year, starting to wane a little bit, but in terms of overall corporate confidence and consumer confidence.
Let's start with the consumer. Main cabin is down 5%.
Main cabin is down 5%, and that's where you have your most price-sensitive customers. The industry is doing, I think, everything we can do. Remember, we got hit with this in the early part of the year. We weren't really in position to address it, given that we had our peak booking and our peak summer season coming up. But what you'll see post mid-August is you'll see industry capacity, particularly in the main cabin domestically, coming down significantly. Delta's doing that. I think all the other airlines are doing some level of that. We actually expect to see domestic seats in the main cabin negative starting in August. For the industry and Delta.
So how much capacity, you don't say it in your report, but how much capacity, and I know this will come up on the analyst call, are you expecting to bring out in the second half of this year? Is it 2%? Is it 3%?
Well, again, on the domestic front, we're looking to be flat to down, and the growth will be on international, and the growth will also be in premium.
International.
So the point is, they beat expectations. And you got the cruise lines right here that are up in the pre-markets as well, because in order to get on a cruise, most likely you need to get on a flight to get to a location to get to that cruise, unless you live nearby, but most people don't. And so that fuels the demand, or at least the perception of demand as well, for the cruise lines. So regardless of if you own Delta or not, all the airlines right here are up in the pre-markets. United as well, up about 9%. And the exciting thing about this is that if the airlines are showing momentum and the retailers theoretically could show momentum, we're going to find out in a couple weeks. Financials, we know, are going to show momentum next week. I mean, I think it's going to be a very strong earnings for the JP Morgans, BlackRocks, et cetera, of the world. Then it's just up to tech. And as long as Meta, Google, NVIDIA don't shit the bed, I mean, this is going to be a great Q2. There's no denying it. And the only thing that we need after that, well, the only two things is rate cuts and trade deals. Rate cuts we're probably going to get to start Q3 or towards the end of Q3 in September, which, hopefully we get. And trade deals, I don't know if we're ever going to get them, but the street, would be very happy if we get trade deals with a healthy Q2. Tesla right here, 300.80, up about 1.6%. NVIDIA, by the way, 164.33. I mean, all-time high, 164.42. NVIDIA looks like it wants to bust right through that. Robinhood as well, 95.87. Robinhood's trying to get back to that $100 range. Maybe today is the day that creates the momentum for Robinhood to get some of that love. Google right here, 176. SoFi, 2034. SoFi did get the $20 close yesterday. And then S&P 500 basically flat on the day, 623.48. So, I mean, I like it, dude. I like it. These earnings are pretty damn good. Yeah, great news for Grab, too. Tourism for Grab. I mean, people forget about this, but Grab is the number 50 app on the U.S. App Store in travel. Like, Grab's up there with, I mean, it's not top 10 with like Uber, Lyft, and Airbnb, et cetera. But the fact that it's number 50 in the United States App Store and no one in the United States can use Grab for anything to do domestically just means that when people travel to Southeast Asia, Grab is the number one product that they are engaging with. So tourism is a massive tailwind for Grab, and that would be something that could be affecting that over the long term as well. App 11 right here, 356. TLT is down a little bit as the 10-year spiking. And Bitcoin, we did hit a new all-time high on Bitcoin at 112 yesterday. We hit it for like 2 seconds, and then it left. But at least it was there just for a little bit. 110 right here on Bitcoin right now. You guys said Noto is going to be on CNBC. Okay, so he's not there right now. It looks like, oh no, he is. Okay, here we go. We got Noto, Anthony Noto. Let's see what he has to say here right now.
Of sport of sorts, Julia Borsten is there and joins us with a special guest. Julia.
Good morning to you. And that's right. I'm joined now by CEO of SoFi, Anthony Noto. Anthony, thanks so much for joining us here today in Sun Valley. Your stock has been absolutely on a tear and got a pop from the news that you're expanding to private markets investing. Stock was up 7% on this. How big of an opportunity is this for SoFi?
We think it's a large opportunity. It's part of our overall strategy to be a one-stop shop for all your financial services needs. Investing is one of those areas. And we're giving access to Main Street investors to products they would not otherwise get in prior history. So we started with single stocks, launched fractional shares, added ETFs, robo accounts. We then started doing IPOs. We were the exclusive retail provider of the Rivian IPO, as an example. And then about a year ago, we launched alternative assets, including private equity, private credit, private real estate, and then even an opportunity to invest in some private companies, specifically through SPVs like Anthropic as well as SpaceX. And this is an evolution of now being able to invest in private companies through funds. And you can invest with as little as $10. The minimums are all different, but and one of them it's $10, one is about $500, and one is about $2,500.
But another, what's seen as another potential tailwind for SoFi is the idea that the new Trump bill could cap federal borrowing for college and grad school, which could drive more business to SoFi. What are you expecting in terms of growth because of that?
There will be a large opportunity for us to continue to leverage student loans, and the new bill will provide a bigger opportunity for us. But it's a much smaller piece of our business now. More than 50% of our business is from non-lending revenue streams. We've really kind of de-risked the balance sheet and tried to become more capital light. We've had 13 consecutive quarters of greater than the rule of 40, which is your revenue growth plus your EBITDA margin. And someone pointed that out to me. And our guidance for the second quarter will actually be the 14th consecutive quarter if we achieve it. And we have great momentum in the business. So while we're excited about the student loan opportunity, it's small relative to everything else that we're doing. That's driving the growth of our business and the rule of 40 success.
You do have a lot of customers, though, in this younger demographic. And this younger demographic is being impacted by a couple of factors. We've seen unemployment for recent college grads higher than the overall unemployment rate. And we're also seeing a lot of concern about AI taking jobs, not just now, but increasingly in the future. How are you seeing this demographic react to those issues, and how is it impacting your business?
We do go after a younger demographic. We're going after people that have been successful. They're overachievers, but they're not well served by the financial markets. And we want to be there for every one of their major decisions in their financial life, like paying for college or buying a home and all the days in between. And our business is very strong. We came into the year with great momentum. In Q1, we had over 30% revenue growth. It was an acceleration. We've been able to maintain more than 30% member and product growth, and we don't see that slowing down. So we're seeing real strength across the consumer and spending, improving credit, and the desire to do more with us.
When you look at the evolution of this younger consumer, the new CNBC Generation Lab poll shows that young people are so worried about AI taking their jobs. How do you expect that consumer to change in terms of the services that they get from SoFi?
What I'd say is every innovation drives more opportunities. Yes, some of the opportunity is closed, but it'll create new opportunities. And I believe our country, with the strongest economy, the strongest level of innovation, the strongest military, the strongest currency, will continue to drive opportunities for American people. And the innovation will just cause those opportunities to change. You can't really predict what they will become, but without a doubt, if you look at every cycle in history, when you've had these big super cycles from technology, it's created more opportunities, not less. And I think that will be the case here.
And you're really deploying AI across your suite of products.
We're using it in every area. So customer service, automating dispute resolutions, filing suspicious activity reports, but also personalization. We're testing a product right now called Cash App, or Cash Coach, which allows you to look at your cash across all your different partners, and we can help you optimize what to do with that cash. First of all, we'll show you how much cash you actually have and how little you're earning on it and ways to actually optimize it, drive a better return. Our goal is to help you spend less than you make and invest the rest. And that's what you need to reach your American dream.
Here in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of talk about tariffs, the impact of tariffs. You heard from Secretary Bessent yesterday. What is your perspective on what's going to happen with tariffs and how it's going to impact your consumers?
I think it will all find a level, balanced playing field. At the end of the day, with the strongest economy, the innovation that we're driving, we should be able to drive a better balance in trade, and I think we will. There will be approaches that are extreme in negotiation, but ultimately our administration finds a way to win, and we all end up in a better spot, and I think that will be the case here.
We're out of time, but I have to ask you, when are you relaunching crypto?
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We're launching buy, sell, and hold, and we'll also be launching remittance, being able to send payments internationally, first in fiat currency, through Bitcoin, and then on the back end through fiat currency. So we're excited about it. We're working on the plans. It'll cut across every part of our business, just like AI. And it's really exciting time to be seeing two of these super cycles come to bear on our commercialization.
Great. Well, we'll have to leave it there. Anthony Noto, CEO of SoFi, thanks so much for joining us. Joe, back over to you.
Thanks, Julia. Appreciate that. Up next, a look at
All right, so that is what Mr. Noto had to say. AMD, by the way, I think it got an upgrade or something. Does anyone have a headline here? Because I don't see a headline outside of a potential upgrade on a price target. Yeah, HSBC 200. I think that's the reason. HSBC 200, AMD 3.72%. SoFi right here, 20.29, up a little bit right there after Noto spoke. Yeah, 200. 200 by HSBC. 200 by HSBC. Not bad. Not bad for AMD. Really getting some love right here. And NVIDIA getting all-time highs. You would imagine AMD gets some love. Tessie, 302. 2.32. Maybe Tesla breaks out today. Maybe Grok 4 is kind of what gets the street excited. Tesla right there, 302.70. In terms of SoFi, so look, I think Noto is starting to get to the point where the street is recognizing the potential of the growth, and now he's basically, capitalizing on that by introducing some of this new stuff. The private market stuff with SoFi, I think, is interesting. I don't think it's the biggest game changer, only because you still have to be an accredited investor. You have to go through all the regulatory parts of being able to invest in these private companies. I think, the real revolution in private companies is tokenization, right? If anyone can get access to OpenAI just by being able to trade the token of an OpenAI. If not, you have to, get through all the regulatory elements of what it means to get access to an SPV that gives you SpaceX, OpenAI, Anduril types of shares. I also really don't, I've said this for the past couple of years, I really don't like investing in startups through an ETF. And what SoFi is offering, and it's not just SoFi, but a lot of these companies offer the ability to invest in Kathy's ARK Innovation Fund, which doesn't just own SpaceX. It owns a ton of junk in it along with SpaceX. So you're not really owning SpaceX. You're owning SpaceX plus a ton of other stuff. You can't single out SpaceX only. So I've never been a fan of that. But the point is they're offering it, which is a good thing, right? It's another thing that people can use and people can engage with. I don't think it's going to be a net revenue driver for the business. I think if SoFi brings back crypto and level 1 options, that's immediately going to change the bottom line for this company versus people being able to invest in OpenAI. But I do think that's something that they're experimenting with to get people to get access. Tokenization to me is where you have the technology approach to get access to these companies. That just might take some more time before that becomes mainstream. But regardless, I don't think SoFi's pumping on that. I think SoFi's pumping on the fact that it's one of the fintechs that hasn't run this year. We've got rate cuts coming up. We've got an economy that's relatively strong based on some of the labor market data that we just got. And as a result, the market is giving SoFi some premium. Speaking of that labor market data, folks, here you go. Initial jobless claims come in at 227,000 versus 236,000 expected. Initial jobless claims are basically how many people file for unemployment every single week, right? So if you got unemployed and you need unemployment insurance from the government, you can file for it. And you can get some help from the government. In a recession, you need 350 to 375,000 initial jobless claims a week. We are nowhere near this, and this is the 4th consecutive week of declines. So, I mean, this is a bit of a resilient labor market, dude. We had amazing non-farm payrolls last week. Now you're getting a 4th week in a row of initial jobless claims coming in much better than expected. And it's one of those things where obviously it means that J-Powell's going to have a hard time cutting based on the labor market. So he really needs inflation to come down because labor market weakness, at least in the past couple months of data, is not there. The probabilities for a September cut, by the way, 64%, down a little bit from yesterday at 65%. But it goes to show, like, for all the bears that were saying there's this massive recession that's coming, I mean, I'm just curious, what is the catalyst for that recession? Because it's not the labor market, at least not in the data that we're seeing yet. Maybe there's going to be some worse data in the coming months, but not in the data that we're seeing right now. Oh yeah, the other thing about SoFi is they have a high short interest. That's the other thing, right? So, I mean, that, 150 million shares sold short. If this thing can just pump to like 23, 24, realistically, I think above 25 is when the shorts actually get scared. Right now, I don't think the shorts are taking advantage of covering. But we get to 25, then I think the shorts start to seriously think, all right, maybe being short this name is not the greatest idea, and that could create a little bit more of a squeeze. ASTS right here, 43.24. That's up 1.74%. HIMS 51.03, back above 50. NVIDIA 164.41. 164.42. That's all-time highs. If it gets above that, there you go. 164.43. New all-time high in the pre-market for NVIDIA. We're going to see how this opens up at 9:30. But that one is still green. And I think that's also helping AMD. So 200 on AMD by HSBC. That is the price target. Their argument is the M1 350 series pricing will be greater than they had expected, which is going to give AMD more operating leverage, and that is increasing their earnings estimates. There you go. AMD at $200 on the price target. I think that's one of the street high price targets as well, which is one of the things that's helping them out in the pre-markets. All right, let's listen to Ryan Detrick and get his argument. This has been someone who has been relatively bullish on this bull market for the past couple of years now. He's been bullish 2025, and here are his thoughts on why the summer equity rally should be able to continue.
New York, so thank you. Yeah, combination. I'm an old school market technician. End of the day, you kind of, what's the message of the market?
Momentum.
Yeah, momentum, relative strength, sentiment. I know I was on with you April 9th that morning when things were really dour. I said maybe we're near a low. Obviously, that was a low looking back. And one thing, neat, Joe, today's 3 months off that, right? 3 months ago was the lows. So you look at history, up 25% the last 3 months. So you say to yourself, what does that mean? 5 times in history, we've been up 25% or more in a 3-month period like we're going to be today. Off the 75 lows, off the 82 lows, off of the 2009 lows, 2020 lows, and then 1999 was in there. You look at those 5 times, guys, the stock market did really well 6 months, a year later. I know 99 was kind of late in the cycle, but the reality is this much strength, this quickly, history would say that's a ball under the water. You let it go. There's still momentum, and that's the key word, I think.
And would you say 10 straight Julys? The last 10 years, July has been a positive.
The S&P has been higher 10 straight Julys, which is interesting, a little trivia. It's actually the second best month on average. November is up more, but nonetheless, July's up 10 in a row. One more could tie the all-time record. And when you look at kind of all the stuff you've been talking about, the earnings start up soon, maybe we get better inflation data. We think this summer rally can continue. We're probably going to have a higher July. Yes, then you have August and September, maybe well-deserved break. But the reality is this is a broad-based global bull market and one that we don't think is slowing down anytime soon.
Better inflation data.
Yeah, and I know a lot of guests come on talking about tariffs, believe me, and trust me, but then let's peel back that onion for a second. Why as every guest probably mentioned for 2 years now, shelter has been very stubborn, rent's been stubborn the last 2 months. That's starting to crack. So maybe you get higher inflation because of tariffs, but the shelter part may be improving, and maybe they offset each other.
Energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
energy
could be
offset.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As well. Okay, so we came back 25%, but we were down we were down over 20, right?
Right.
So we're even. What is it a year where we're going to be up double digits?
Mm-hmm. We think so. Today the Carson Group is releasing our mid-year outlook, and we think the S&P.
That's today.
Today, how about that? Isn't that neat the way that works?
And you're here like telling people, or you didn't come just to come on spot?
No, just kind of randomly worked out that way. But we're here, and we came into this year saying a 12 to 15% total return this year. We never lowered it. A lot of people lowered it and raised it. We've stayed with that the whole time, so we're still there. And we do think, there's still some gains coming. And again, what happened this year? We know the rest of the globe led, the U.S. lagged. We think the U.S. is going to take back the baton and probably do a little better. One more for you. I know the golfers out there, the sweet spot, when you swing and hit it perfectly, that's great. When the S&P is up between 5 and 10% at the middle of the year, like right now, so in this sweet spot, not up a ton, but not doing poorly. The rest of the year is higher 13 out of 15 times with better than average return. So we're in that sweet spot where, again, things are, there's always worries, but things are good.
How do you factor in right now investor sentiment?
Yeah.
ETF inflows are kind of neutral.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best way to put it, kind of neutral. Yes, there are certain pockets of optimism, but when you look at the big institutions, hedge funds, they have really missed this rally. They're still net short overall. There's some pockets of optimism. We're not seeing huge flows. We know the VIX, but then you've got the little complacency at options market a little bit. But I'll tell you, when I travel the country and get to present and talk to people, I never get the question, hey, how high is this going to go? How good are things? We're just not seeing that. So big picture, I don't think we're anywhere near a major peak because of market sentiment.
So where were you?
So we looked at that stat a while ago from Detrick, who basically said if you're up 10% towards the midpoint of the year, then likely towards the end of the year, you're up 13 out of 15 times. And if the earnings growth can support that, I mean, yeah, it makes sense that we should be able to have a bull market towards the end of the year, hopefully getting us that 6,500 to 6,700 range going into the end of 2025. Triple V, thank you for the super chat. This is a 2 hundo super chat today instead of a 1 hundo. Appreciate you, Mr. Triple V, for that. I think he's feeling pretty happy today about JetBlue, which is one of the stocks that he likes. A lot of people keep asking me what's his thesis. I think the thesis, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's short and it could get acquired. It's like 20% short. It's a $1.5 billion company. It is a small cap. So if you do buy this, you have to remember that this is a very small cap company. Morgan Stanley has a price target of $8. They have a variety of partnerships, and theoretically, they could get acquired. So that's the thesis. Now, that thesis could play out, and it could be an amazing opportunity. That thesis could also just be money that's like stuck. But the reason JetBlue's up right here in the pre-markets is because Delta crushed earnings, and Delta is up 12.4%, helping every airline go up a little bit right here. So as long as the airlines continue to crush and the broader macroeconomy stays stable, it could be the right set of options for JetBlue to do well as one of the more smaller airlines. But all the airlines right here in the pre-markets are having a blast. United Airlines right there up about 9.1% as well in the pre-markets. Yes, Triple V is not Vlad. He's not Vlad from Robinhood. So although I know a lot of you guys want him to be, Vlad from Robinhood is not Mr. Triple V. But he's a very... very nice person. Congrats on the raise from Triple V. For those that are new to the chat, Triple V is a friend of the channel, and yeah, he's always there with the super chats. Triple V is Dave Portnoy. Dude, Dave's up on his Tesla. I think he got in at 293. Tesla's at 301. If he hasn't sold yet, I mean, Dave's doing nice on some Tesla. He's having some fun right here. I think he bought 34,000 shares or something. 34,500 shares, $10 million. So Dave Portnoy is having fun. All right, cool. So let's move on into some of these other topics. But again, Triple V, thank you for the $200 super chat. And JetBlue having some fun today based on those Delta earnings. Grok 4. We got Grok last night, and Elon was pretty excited to show it off. If you were up with me last night, they delayed it for an hour. It took an hour to actually, they said they were going to go live at 11, ended up going live at 12, but we were there to check it out. Here is an independent AI intelligence index based on every single model. You've got Llama, Gemini, Alibaba's models, GPT, etc. Grok 4 is at the very top. Grok 4 is at the very top. So you do have the models immediately getting benchmarked for performance, and the performance is, quite frankly, better than every other model out there. However, that also dictates the pricing to be a little aggressive. Super Grok is $30 a month. I think I get access to that because I pay for X Premium. So I already have Grok 4. Super Grok Heavy is $300 a month. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be that good to the point where people pay $300 a month. That's more than ChatGPT at $200 a month. And I think Perplexity and Claude also have $200 per month models. But Grok is saying they're going to be better. So yeah, based on what they announced yesterday, I mean, Elon said a bunch of different things. He said that it's going to solve new physics problems in a couple years, and it's going to solve mathematical problems that humanity has never been able to realize. He was really enthusiastic about it last night, and basically it was almost just like he was saying, hey, this is the best AI that has ever been created, and it's not even close. And as a result, the question is going to be, does it live up to the hype? And so far, from some of these independent expectations, it seems like that is the case right now. I've been using Grok 4 a lot. It answers questions so much faster than 3. Yeah, and it's a reasoning model, so it uses a ton of reasoning infrastructure to come to the best answers. We used it last night, and we asked it a bunch of questions. Again, I think there's going to be a lot of benchmarks and kind of like tests applied to Grok over the coming weeks. But if it's the best model, then people are going to be wondering, what is Sam Altman coming up with? What is Gemini going to be coming up with? Gemini's 2.5 Ultra is being used in a lot of different API. I think it's the #1 model for API requests outside of GPT, especially in the enterprise. So although like the consumer version of Gemini is not the most exciting, even though that's growing pretty well, it's not like that's not growing. The enterprise version of it is getting a lot of momentum. And so we're in the AI wars, and we're going to see ultimately how they play out. NVIDIA right here, 164.44. If you're wondering why MP Materials is up 62%, it's because the Pentagon has taken a 40% stake in this company. Rare earth minerals are crucial to the United States supply chain, and the Defense Department will buy $400 million of preferred stock in the company, which is why the stock is up 62% in the pre-markets. So that's what we got for MP. It's going to be that price and it'll become normal. I mean, I think eventually if it actually can outperform, like $300 a month sounds expensive, but if it really does deliver the value of what $300 a month should be for, then yeah, people will pay it. I think people are willing to pay. It's just a question of like, is it going to increase productivity to that extent? And if it does, then this is going to be the way that Elon eventually has to pay for these GPUs, because they're deploying 100,000 of these GPUs, architecture-based GPUs inside of their supercluster. The question becomes, can they get the ROI on that? Which makes sense. Is it too late to buy MP? I mean, I wouldn't chase it, but then again, who knows? Maybe 64% up is just the beginning. I mean, I'm not chasing it, but if you do, you just have to remember that it's up a lot and maybe it gets bid up even. I mean, this is what happened with BM&R. BM&R was up 48% in the pre-markets, and then it went up 2,000% after being up 48%. Could that happen here? I think the dynamics are obviously different. It's not an Ethereum treasury. It's not Tom Lee. It's not a small cap, yada, yada. But who knows? I mean, we're going to see when the market opens how this one plays out. It would be a little bit more of chasing. Brazil tariffs. We do have 50% Brazil tariffs that were announced yesterday by Trump. Here's an update on that and what Brazil's response was as well after this was introduced late last night.
Hey guys, good morning. So a lot to unpack here. This tariff letter to Brazil was the 22nd letter the president sent to a trading partner this week. But this one was strikingly different from the others. The 50% tariff for one is the steepest that we've seen threatened so far against any trading partner. The president says he's also directing his U.S. trade representative to open a Section 301 investigation into unfair trade practices, specifically around digital trade. That could lead to additional tariffs down the road. But most notably, Brazil was not until now facing a reciprocal tariff from this White House. The U.S. runs a rare trade surplus with Brazil, so there is no deficit to fix here. Instead, the president said in the letter that these tariffs are explicitly for political reasons, due in part, as you mentioned, to Brazil's treatment of Bolsonaro, which Trump called a witch hunt. But he also blamed what he called insidious attacks on free elections and the free speech rights of Americans. And the other thing to keep in mind with this one, guys, is just how close Brazil has been getting with China. Beijing has been investing heavily in Brazil as it looked to de-risk away from the U.S. It's now Brazil's largest trading partner. You can see here about 28% of Brazil's exports go to China, some 94 billion every year, versus just about 12% of exports going to the U.S. So that relationship not explicitly referenced in the letter, but we do know it's something the Trump administration has taken issue with.
So we're going to see if these Brazilian tariffs actually become real, because right now I don't think the street fully expects them to become real. By the way, USAR is another name, USA Rare Earth Minerals. That's up 20% just based on MP being up 62%. So these stocks are getting a bit of a bid. We also tariffed Sri Lanka yesterday by 30%, along with Brazil. Brazil, Trump noted in his letter that he's really upset about Brazil's free speech policies, which is another reason he's tariffing them as high as he is. Brazil responded and they said, hey, we're just going to tariff you back 50%. So, I mean, if they end up getting into a bit of a trade war over this, then I guess we're going to see how this plays out. But right now, August 1st is not that far away. It's 3 weeks. So, I mean, I am very curious. Look, the market tends to take a little bit of a breather in August. Hood right here, 96 in the pre-markets. NVIDIA 164.50. And if it needs a catalyst to take a breather, if Trump is not going to taco out about all these reciprocal tariffs on like these 40 countries he's introduced over the past couple of weeks or the past couple of days, that could be the reason. Immediately, it could give inflation expectations a boost, which would be bad for rate cut expectations because those would go down. And then B, if we actually are tariffing all the coffee beans that come from Brazil by 50%, I mean, like that's just like, I don't think that would be the best for Starbucks. I don't think that would be best for a lot of other companies in the market. Starbucks right here down a little bit in the pre-market. So I don't know. Maybe that is our catalyst for a crappy August, September. But I'm hoping we're not actually going to impose those tariffs and they're just being used to negotiate. But if the negotiation goes to its logical extreme, which is that those companies don't come to the table and you have to implement them for the sake of like not looking like you know, like a country that just says one thing and then does another, and you actually have to go through with it, then I guess the market's gonna have to figure out how much that's gonna impact all these equities. So we're gonna see August 1st if this one's ends up playing out. Why do I feel like DJT is going nowhere about these tariffs? I just want to see where the real deals are with the Indias, the South Koreas, the Japans of the world. That's all I care about. All these other countries or whatever, like even if we do tariff them, some of these countries we do like $20 million of trade with, like Moldova. Like it makes no sense to have that much of an impact on the market. But if we don't get like an India deal or a Japan deal or a South Korea deal by like October, like forget the end of summer. If we don't get it by like closer to the end of the year, and we go into 2026 with a lack of clarity on tariffs, I don't know, bro. It's going to be very weird. And it really could impact a Santa Claus rally this year because markets are just going to be like, hey, earnings are great, but like we kind of need some clarity from a geopolitical perspective on what's going on with tariffs. Bitcoin right here, 111 in the pre-markets. Coinbase was up a little bit yesterday, 370. That's down right now. MicroStrategy as well, breaking above 400, 413. That one is down a bit in the pre-markets. Uber right here, basically at all-time highs, 96.30, Roblox 106, and then the Qs 556. This is what Elon said yesterday about Grok 4.
At least with respect to academic questions, I want to just emphasize this point. With respect to academic questions, Grok 4 is better than PhD level in every subject, no exceptions. Now, this doesn't mean that times it may lack common sense, and it has not yet invented new technologies or discovered new physics, but that is just a matter of time. I mean, at least
he was bullish, bro. He was bullish. His argument was Delta earnings, by the way, for those that didn't see it. He was bullish on this being the best model that humanity has ever seen. And, now it's out into the wild. Now it is out into the wild. Yeah, he borrowed Jensen's jacket yesterday. He had the leather jacket, which was also nice to see from Elon. I just feel like many people may not use Grok because they aren't a fan of Elon, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, look, the brand damage or whatever perceptual brand damage that Elon has in his own personal brand, not even Tesla. I think not even just Grok. I think people want, I mean, there's so many people that are on Threads and Blue Sky. Do you guys know about Blue Sky? Blue Sky is like the Grok competitor, or not the Grok, the Twitter competitor. It's like Twitter for liberals, dude. And I'm not even just saying that to say that. Like it literally is. Like they banned JD Vance when he went on Twitter, when he went on Blue Sky to like talk about something. And they're like, hey, you can't say that here. It's a very pro censorship type of platform that, really wants to cultivate a space. And it is what it is. There are some platforms that are like that. I think they have about 20 million users, but a lot of people left Twitter or X a couple months ago for Threads and Blue Sky. Threads is still the number 2 downloaded app in the entire app store, which is crazy to me. And that's really because Meta just pumps it on Instagram, so everyone downloads it. I don't know how active their users are, but that is also a bull case for Meta. I mean, if they can start advertising on Threads, even if they have a couple 100 million people using it per month, that should give them some residual revenue. But Blue Sky and Threads is where people go to like protest against not being on the actual global town square, which is X, which to me is one of the best platforms to get news and updates and all that stuff. And so ChatGPT might be the replacement, or Gemini might be the replacement because people don't want to use Grok because they know that's associated with X. But if Grok is genuinely better than those, I don't know, bro. Yes, some people are going to hate Elon and never use it. But if it really is that much better, the majority of the world, I think, cares about results, and that may be where Grok really gets its momentum. And again, what matters the most about this is enterprise, right? If enterprise, like Palantir is a partnership with XAI, right? Because Palantir creates a software, AIP and Foundry, that doesn't care about what LLM they use. They just want to connect that LLM to the ontology. But the LLM being really good definitely helps Palantir deliver more results to their clients. And if the LLM is really good, Grok gets paid more, XAI gets paid more because enterprises are requesting more API calls to their LLM. So if Grok 4 is really good in the enterprise, and Palantir suggests that this is the model that their clients should be using over everything else, that is also what will lead to massive adoption for this LLM over some of the other ones. Yeah, I don't have a Blue Sky account. I have a Threads account. I go on Threads sometimes, and I see how people are talking, and it's just not like the most exciting discourse. I mean, like when you go on Threads, like the first couple posts will be like on Kim Kardashian's dating life, like that's going to be what's trending. It's like very pop culture versus like news and politics, which is fine. Some people don't care about like finance and politics and that stuff, but you're going to get more of the pop culture stuff on Threads. Same thing with Blue Sky. Or on Blue Sky, if you do get politics, it's going to be very, very, more towards the left side of the political sphere. And as a result, that means some people might use Grok, some people might not. But if it is one of the best models, then that's going to be exciting for its progress. Palantir right here, 143.25. Oh, Dan Ives. We got a price target upgrade on Palantir by Mr. Dan Ives to 160. He raised it this morning. He said, let me put this out right here. Raising price target on Palantir to 160 as our recent checks and growing confidence in the company's AI strategy is likely to be the bold thesis on Palantir playing out for the next 12 months. We believe Palantir has a golden path to become an AI stalwart in the next few years. So you got a street high price target now from Dan Ives for Palantir. Coinbase CEO says partnered with Perplexity AI. Ooh, cool. Perplexity just released their Comet browser yesterday, AI browser. That's pretty cool. Coinbase and Perplexity. Feels like there's probably going to be some meaningful collaborations inside of that product with Perplexity's agents. So there you go. Perplexity making some deals. This is why Perplexity is not going to sell out for $30 billion from Apple, as Dan suggested should be a possibility. It's like, if you're going to be making these deals and getting to work with some of the Fortune 500, why would you sell out to a company when you could be worth a lot more than $30 billion one day? So do you think 160 covered calls for next week will be fine on Palantir? Yes. I mean, I don't think it's going to 160 next week. It could, but if it doesn't, then I think you'll be okay. So that 155 to 160 to me is not crazy for next week. Now, a month from now, who knows? Because a month from now, they have earnings. So on earnings, you never know. But I think going over the next couple of weeks is not that crazy. All right, here we go, folks. We got 30 seconds until the market opens. Tesla right here at 300, SoFi at 20, AMD at 143. We are going to see how these stocks open up, and then we will keep going from there. Delta crushed earnings today. So that is the first earnings that we have to start off Q3. And we're going to see how the market performs based on those earnings throughout the variety of stocks that we have here today. All right, Thursday, July 10th, 9:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Let's get into it. Robinhood, $96 open. Not too bad on hoodie. We're trying to get back to 100. It would be so nice to see it, but we are at 96, up about 1.55% as we open. Tesla, 302 open, 302.14 on Tesla as we open. NVIDIA, we did have 164.50 in the pre-market. It's getting rejected at 164 or 164.50, back to 164.10, but it would be very nice to see that back above that 164.50 level, potentially making its way to 165. S&P 500 right here at 624. Grab at 499. Reddit right here at 147. Salesforce at 270. SoFi 2041. SoFi 2041, which is not too bad. Where is Delta? They were the big one with earnings today. Wow, 9%. Delta opens up 9%. JetBlue opens up 5%. Southwest Airlines opens up 2.3%. And United opens up 7.4%. American Airlines opens up 7.3%. So there you go. All the airlines getting some love as we open up the markets. Palantir right here, 143.25. That is green. Tesla 304. Tesla's pumping. Tesla was at 288 on Monday. She's pumping 305. There she goes. I think the street likes Grok. I think the street likes Grok. Where is materials MP? 46. That's up 53%. Again, the Pentagon's taking a 40% stake in this company, up 55% right here. They're a rare earth mineral company. Same thing with USAR. That stock is up 15%, and MP is up 60% based on that news. AMD 145. AMD back to 145. That is green. It was there a couple weeks ago. Got hit at 132. Now it's back. NVIDIA basically at all-time highs, just underneath that. S&P 623, that's a little flat. Bitcoin right here at 110. Duolingo at 386. Disney at 120. Pfizer at 2560. VIX just below 16. That's red. Nubank is down 1.54%. Nubank has a big presence in Brazil, so that makes sense. IBKR right here is up 0.61. Iran 1677. That is down 1%. Big Bear AI is down 2.85. BMNR, Tom Lee's Ethereum company, is down 20%, bro. Holy crap. This was down 40% yesterday, right? 45%. So that's down 20% right here. Robinhood 96, Tesla 304, Palantir 144. Palantir getting some love. And then UNH, where is UNH? 298. That's down 1.3. UNH did have a Wall Street Journal article that came out yesterday about it. They denied all the claims in the article, but that stock right here is still down 1.65. If UNH is down, I don't want to see Oscar. Oscar, oh boy. Oh boy. Oscar's down. Oscar's down. Some guy bought $1 million worth of Oscar at 1650 on Twitter, and he posted the screenshot. So you do have these Oscar people that are, bought into the thesis. But this one's getting hit right here. Oscar down about 3.2%. Hims is green. Is Hims green? Hims is indeed green. There you go. 5173. That's up on Hims. Again, Palantir right here, 144. Robinhood, dude, I think she wants to get back to 100. Like 100 wasn't just like a little fling. Like, I think she wants to get back above and stay. It's just going to be hard because we had that momentum that day, and it hasn't gone below 90 ever since the event. But to get bid up over 100, it just needs a lot more buy pressure to come in. SoFi right here, 2042. SoFi hit 2089 on Monday. Maybe there's a shot that cracks above. Grab right here, 494. Google 175. Why is Google down? Maybe it's because of the Perplexity news yesterday. The OpenAI new browser news that came out, which I don't even think is that big of a deal because Google is an AI browser. So OpenAI coming out with an AI browser. I mean, I don't think that's that competitive or that scary, but Google's down. Meta right here, 730. Salesforce is down 1%. And then Tessie trying to hold on to 300. Trying to hold on for 300. Where is the other Ethereum treasury? So BTBT, that stock down 3%. SBET, SharpLink Gaming, that stock up 4%. BMNR is the one that's getting killed this morning, down about 18%. MP is up 50%. So that one already is down from being up 65% of the pre-market. So if you bought in the pre-markets, you're probably down right now. But I think we have to see where's the floor on this stock. Up, SoFi above 2050. There she goes. Let me check resistance at 21 on SoFi. Let's see, right, 2060. All right, she's making a little bit of a move right here. 21 resistance on SoFi is 126,000. 126,000. Oh, yeah, this is why Tesla's pumping. I forgot to mention this last night, or I forgot to mention this morning. Elon said that Robotaxi, this is probably why it's pumping more than Grok. Elon said Robotaxi is going to be expanding in Austin this weekend, so the geofenced area is going to be increasing. I don't know by how many miles, but he did confirm last night it's probably going to be increasing this weekend, which is a good thing, right? Because if you have more area to have a Robotaxi, you'll have more demand, more people that can get into a Robotaxi. And then he said the Bay Area, San Francisco, is coming in 2 months. It's coming in 2 months. He confirmed that last night. So now we'll see in 2 months if that happens. But he did say Bay Area coming in 2 months. They're waiting on some regulations, and Robotaxi is expanding. That could be one of the reasons why Tesla's pumping right here up 2.94%. And what it means about Tesla is even with crappy earnings, even a simple argument like, hey, Robotaxi is expanding, the street just eats it up. Because the street wants the real world manifestation of AI, aka self-driving, to be so real that any little bit of progress, I'm assuming that's the reason why Tesla's up 3% right here, is something that'll catch a bid. And as a result, I mean, regardless of the quantitative numbers, that is what's really driving the stock right here. 305.50, Tesla up 2.4%. here right now. SoFi 2070. SoFi got above 2070. S&P 500 623. Nvidia 163. Palantir 144.54. And then Robinhood 95.50. Reddit right here is basically flat. And then Amazon 221. Google 175 as well. Elon did not say Grok would be in Tesla. If he did say that, I think Tesla would be up even more. But he did not mention the possibility of Grok integrating with Tesla yet. But we know that's going to happen. And when that does happen, it would be pretty cool. Tesla right here, 305.50. 305.50. No, he did not say that in the actual video yesterday. He said that he mentioned it on X. Okay, he didn't say that because I watched the entire thing last night. He did not say that Grok, and he didn't even say the word Tesla in the whole thing. I'll try to find his tweet where he mentioned that, but he did not say it in the actual call yesterday. Okay, I'll try to find the X post. But yeah, he didn't say it in the actual one. Even Sawyer Merritt, who he goes through the entire transcript, he said Elon didn't mention it at all in the actual call. But look, once it does scale into Tesla, I mean, that's gonna be very exciting. If I can talk to my Tesla, must reply to Merritt. Okay, let me go to Merritt's tweet then. That's good then if you reply to Merritt, because Sawyer's the one who said he didn't mention it. If I could talk to my Tesla, SoFi, by the way, 2075. I mean, I think that's a game changer, bro. If I can actually talk to my Tesla and have it do stuff for me just by my voice, I mean, that's 7 million vehicles that Grok gets to go immediately into. I think that's going to be a very, very exciting ecosystem for Grok to get implemented into. Robinhood right here, 95.28. Tesla 306. All right, so Tesla making a little bit of a move right here. And then MP is also up. Let me find that post by Sawyer and pull that up. SoFi 2067, trying to get a bit higher. Okay, here it goes. So Sawyer said live stream just ended. No mention of Grok coming to Tesla vehicles. Elon said Grok is coming to Tesla vehicles very soon. Dude, maybe Grok is the reason why Tesla's pumping next week at the latest. I didn't see that. Oh, he tweeted that at 6 a.m. That's why I didn't see that. Wow. Next week at the latest? Yeah, there's your reason, folks. There's your reason. I mean, I did not know that. I did not see that. 307. There she goes. Grok coming into Tesla is not going to be like a game changer for revenue, but it is going to be, again, it's already a computer on wheels. It's already like a self-driving robot. Now, if you can talk to it and interact with it and ask your Tesla, hey, what meetings do I have tomorrow? Tell me about my upcoming meeting as we get on this 40-minute road trip. And it's talking to you while it's on a self-driving journey like that. That you could just imagine that to be a very powerful experience. Tesla right here, 307. And the street could be excited about that as well. So there you go. Okay, there you go. Nice news. I did not know that Elon responded to that and said next week. Next week is very soon. I thought it was going to be months from now. Next week is pretty damn soon. MP Materials right here up about 50%. Nvidia not getting 164. SoFi, it's trying for 21. She is trying. She hit 20.78. She's got to break 2070 to get into the 2080s, but she is trying. AMD right here, 144. And then Hoodie, pretty much the same day every day with Hood. It pumps in the first 10 minutes, and then it settles out around 92, 93. So, I mean, I think it wants to go back to 100, but it is, it's not giving that to us right now. You can talk to Grok on your mobile phone anyway. Yeah, that's true. It's just if it's integrated into the Tesla, if I can get into my Tesla and I can just speak and say stuff and ask it. I mean, if I can get into my Tesla and say, hey, Grok, tell me about what's going on in the markets right now, and it can give me a summary. These are just things that you would think would make the Tesla experience a lot better. And then eventually could become a major differentiator from a lot of the other self-driving cars if it has a brain that's as good as what Elon says it is. So I do think that would be very exciting. Palantir right here, 144.50. Palantir trying to get a little bit of a pump. Grab right here at 494. DoorDash at 245. Let's look at the semis. The semis right now are all green except TSM. TSM did not have earnings today. That's next week. And then Qualcomm, that's down about 0.5%. Marvell is up. Micron is up. AMD is up 4%. AMD kind of leading the pack right here. NVIDIA 163. Dell and then Broadcom are up a little bit. I think Nancy Pelosi exercised her Broadcom options based on the ones that she bought a while ago. Yeah, here you go. So Nancy Pelosi, she exercised the Broadcom call option she bought last year. She now owns 20,000 shares of Broadcom worth up to $5 million. She's up about 70% on this. So she bought call options with an $80 strike. So she bought in the money calls on June 24th that were going to expire in June 2025. And now we are seeing about 20 days later after she exercised them, because that's when they have to disclose that she did exercise them. And that's worth up to about $5 million. Broadcom just so conveniently happens to be at all-time highs after Nancy exercises her call options. Just so happens to be there. So there you go. The GOAT trader continues to make GOAT trading moves. Are we at 21 on SoFi? Are we at 21? Oh, we're at 20.99. Holy crap. We're 1 cent away, folks. We are 1 cent away. We are 1 cent away. Here we go. Are we going to get there? It's teasing us. It's teasing us. It is teasing us. There's 140,000 shares, folks. There she goes. 21. Wait, no, there it is. Yes, 21. She is legal to drink in the United States, at least. SoFi, $21. Congrats, everybody. SoFi, 21. Dude, it's a big deal. Every dollar that SoFi breaks above, it is actually pushing against a lot of the downside momentum that it's been stuck at for basically the past 3 years. And it's forcing these shorts to really ask themselves, do they want to be short 15% against a name like this? And if they don't, then that little gamma squeeze, it's not going to be a massive squeeze, but it's going to be enough of a squeeze to, I think, at least cause a 10 to 15% move in the stock when it does happen, because you just got a lot of shares that are going to have to cover. That's going to be pretty aggressive. And that's what it's also going to do, is get rid of the manipulation of the stock, right? Once you have a short float go from 15% to like 4%, you're going to have a lot less shares holding this one down, and it might have a lot more freedom to run. 21 on SoFi, 21.02. 22 resistance for SoFi is 73,000 shares. 73,000 shares for SoFi, trying to get to 22. Dude, it is crazy, right? In the United States, you have to be 21 to drink, but in Europe, it's like 17 or 16 or something, right? It's a lot, or like 18. It's a lot, yes, younger than the US, but we have not adjusted the 21-year-old drinking laws in the US. NVIDIA right here, trying to get back to 164, AMD 144, SoFi now trying to really break above 21. We get to 21.20s. That would be very exciting, up about 4.3%. Google right here, 175, Palantir 144, and then Tessie 306. It's 16 in Europe, right? Canada's 18? Really? I thought Canada was 21. The UK is 16. I mean, dude, most of you Europeans start drinking when you're teenagers. Like I remember when I was at Germany in 2016, dude, there were people drinking at like 6:30 a.m. at a bar it was in Stuttgart. And there was a lot of people drinking. I was like, bro, it's 6:30. Like, what's going on? Like, it's just so much more part of the culture in that part of the world. 18 in Quebec. Most of Europe is 18. Yeah, that's what I thought. Most of Europe is 18. Robinhood back above 96. Let's see if we can hold it, man. Let's see if we can hold it. We have not been able to really keep this momentum on Hoodie. It just falls back to 92. 97 resistance on Robinhood is 18,000 shares. 18,000 shares. SoFi all-time high is 28. There she goes. 21.18. Look at that. She's running. She's legit running, folks. She's legit running today. Let's check on the SoFi options and see how those are doing. All right, we're up 785%. So we're up nicely on the options. I know a lot of people here are loaded up on options and shares with $7 to $12 averages. So every dollar up is a pretty big move right here on SoFi. 21.28 up 5.3% now. Again, 22 resistance, about 150,000 shares. NVIDIA right here, 163. 45. Oh, 164. Okay, we're back at 164 on NVIDIA. Back to 164 on NVIDIA. Yeah, 22 resistance is 74,000 shares. 74,000 shares. Google right here at 175. Estee Lauder, that's up 5%. Okay, dude, I wonder if Burry's still in this. I really do. He had a hell of a call buying it at 60. I wonder if he's still in this name or if he sold out. And part of me thinks he sold out and took the money and ran. Elf right here is down. Ulta is flat. Soundhound is down. BMNR is 18% down. Big Bear AI down 3.8%. Big Bear AI might lose 7. So if it loses 7, that would be a little tough on it, given it was just at 860 yesterday. And then D-Wave, some quantum names. That one's also down about 1%. Where's Tessie? Where's Tessie? Tessie is 305. Tesla is 305. Amit, should I double down on my SoFi? It's actually a really good question. When a stock that you've been very heavy on starts to make its breakout, which I think we can objectively say SoFi is breaking out right here. Now, we don't know what the limit of that breakout is. We don't know if there is a limit. We don't know if it's going to come crashing back down, but objectively, it has broken out. This is where you have to ask yourself, like, do I want to buy into strength? Do I want to buy into strength? And the mistake I made on Palantir is I did not buy into strength. The mistake I did not make on Robinhood is that I heavily bought into strength. I did not care about my cost basis. And I'm really happy I did that, because the more shares you have, just the better, especially if you really do believe in the company. If you believe in SoFi and you've got 1,000 shares or 2,000 shares at a $12 average, I mean, if this stock's going to 40 one day and you really believe in it, buying another 1,000 shares at 20 is not crazy. Now, if it falls back to 15 tomorrow, you're going to feel upset. But nonetheless, this is where you have to ask yourself, how bullish are you on the name? Because it's not fun buying when Robinhood got to 60 and 70 and 80 and 90 and 100 and buying. Like, it's not fun, but you just know that, like, this is what I have to do because I believe in the name and I need to get more exposure. So now really test your conviction. How bullish are you? But if you already have a position built and you don't need to do that, you don't have the pressure, then, you kind of just let the magic of compounding take place. This is where I sold. I sold out. Yeah, put in the chat if anyone sold some of their SoFi. I'm curious to know if anyone kind of took profits right here. But I don't know. I wouldn't sell SoFi here, dude. I feel like it's breaking out. I feel like when it's breaking out, you just let it run. You let it do what it needs to do. Android, thank you for the $10 super chat. MP, thank you for putting this name in front of Jason for me. Yeah, Jason was doing some technicals on this a while ago. Again, the technicals really is not the reason why it's up 50%. It's because of Congress or the DOD taking a 40% stake. But I'm happy that we got to talk about it and then you got exposed to it. MP right here up 53%. This one getting some love. Jason was day trading this like a couple of months ago as the rare earth mineral headlines were coming out. And I think he talked about it on Tuesday. But it's always been a headline-driven name. And today is, emblematic of the fact that the biggest headline, Congress or the DOD, the Pentagon taking a 40% stake, that's what can get this bad boy to run. Tesla right here, 304, and then USAR, another rare earth minerals company. That one is up about 14%. Palantir right here, 144.3, AMD 143, S&P 623. Robinhood, same story, pumps to 96, comes back down to the 94s. And SoFi right here, just below 21 now, 20.99. My mom would kill me if I sold SoFi. She's too emotionally invested now. Yeah, my dad has call options for $10 for 2026. We're probably not going to sell those for a while. But yeah, I mean, if anyone like a friend or family bought SoFi at like $7-8, they probably are not going to want to sell, even at these levels. And again, when you sell after a stock makes like a 3 or 4x move, it's not necessarily to take profits. I think it's because you're afraid that like the stock can't keep going higher. And that tends to not be the best investment approach historically on amazing companies. Like, oh, how much more higher can it go? Well, if it's a one of one company, which if you believe that's the case for SoFi, then you hold, right? Because you believe that Noto will keep executing. Same thing for Palantir or Robinhood or Tesla or whatever, right? So a big move doesn't really mean you have to take profits unless you think there's a dramatic drawdown coming. But if not, then the best companies in the world should be able to get a premium and get more investors to allocate capital into them, even as they hit new all-time highs. Theoretically, as they hit new all-time highs, more people should get interested. More people should buy into the story. That's kind of the reason why these names have the momentum to keep going. Nvidia right here, 163.50. Amazon 220. Amazon sales we saw yesterday were down 41% on its first day of Prime Week. However, last year, Amazon had 48 hours of a Prime Day. This year, it's 96 hours. So even though it was down 40% year over year, there's still multiple days left of the overall Prime week. So we're going to have to wait until we get the final results over the coming 2 days. We aren't even at Noto's first bonus level of 25. I forgot about that. That's true. Noto gets paid a hefty bag. I think it's like 100 million, right? Something like that. When SoFi trades above 25, if it gets to 45 by June 2026, then he gets almost like 500 million. So we got to see. We got to see if that can happen for Noto. But that could also be a reason to just kind of hold on. 300 million. Yeah, 300 million is what he gets. 300 million. New price target of Amazon on 285, but it's red today anyway. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the entire street is bullish on Amazon, but they need to see AWS growth because last quarter AWS missed. It was a very slight miss, but it missed. And the street got upset about that. So I think if AWS growth is strong, which NVIDIA is indicating that AWS and cloud computing growth should be very strong. Oracle's indicating that as well. So I don't think AWS is going to have any issues this quarter. As long as they crush on AWS and the macro stays tight, I think Amazon's closer to 250 by the end of the year. But we kind of need that to play out. Also, we need Bezos to stop selling every other week. And the problem is every time Amazon goes up, Bezos is going to take some profits. And so that is a little bit of a wall that is there on Amazon. Circle, by the way, up about 2.25% as well. And that is great. How do you feel about Grab being stuck at 5 range from Ultimate? I think that is opportunity, in my opinion. I mean, everything is getting better about the company except the stock price, which to me right now, what's also happening right here is it's being manipulated. And there's a good article I read last night as well about a lot of hedge funds based on the institutional ownership are trying to accumulate Grab, and they've been accumulating Grab. And the time to accumulate is when the price is low, right? And you need to kind of artificially sometimes keep the price low in order to accumulate. I'm not saying that's the only reason it's down, but I think that is one of the reasons because I think it breaks out once they show the earnings growth. And I think the earnings growth is coming by Q3 this year. What the breakout is, I don't know. When retail jumps on it, I don't know. I'm thinking around 650. That's when retail gets really excited. Like retail is going to get excited. Like retail was excited about SoFi. Now retail's going to get excited about SoFi because SoFi has been kind of dead money for the past couple of years. So now that it's breaking out, retail's going to be like, okay, here's a name that hasn't really broken out all year. Let me jump into it. And now you're going to get a lot of random people buying SoFi. I mean, we see like you have people buying Palantir. They have no idea what Palantir does. But if you bought Palantir at 10 and someone's buying it at 120, I mean, they're pumping your bag because they're entering into the story after you, partly because of FOMO, partly because of hype, and also partly because of the fact that it's Palantir. It's a household name now, and they're excited about it. That's going to happen with SoFi. That's happened with Robinhood. It's obviously happened with NVIDIA, and we're going to see it happen with SoFi. And so I think that will happen with Grab, but the longer it's under 5, I think the greater the opportunity is for it long term. SoFi back above 21. Poet, is that one moving? Poet right here. That one was moving yesterday. That's up 13% right here. I think this might be technicals. I don't think this is anything fundamental. This one was pumping a little bit yesterday as well. The way they're keeping the price down while also accumulating, from my understanding, is by shorting it. So the short interest on Grab is actually pretty aggressive. It's like 7 to 8%. So a lot of these funds will short the stock, accumulate the stock, and once their short is profitable, they will cover their short, and then they will just add to their overall position. So, I mean, it's a risky game, right? Because you're trying to buy the shares, short the stock. You have the risk of the stock going up, which means you have to cover your short, which means that your cost basis on buying the shares gets obliterated because of the fact that you have to buy the shares at the higher price. But if the stock stays down while you're shorting it and buying it at the same time, you eventually get to cover the short for a profit or at least break even. And then before it runs, you have a built-up position, which is kind of what I think is going on right now. I could be wrong, but the institutional ownership at 81% tells me that these guys are loading up. And the question is just now the earnings growth to justify why they loaded up. Palo Alto Networks right there at 200. Where's CrowdStrike? This bad boy, 500. That one's also down about 2%. So all of the cybersecurity names are down a little bit. HIMS right here, 51. Coinbase, 372. Brian Armstrong just shared the collaboration with Perplexity. So let's take a look at that. They are officially collaborating with Perplexity. Coinbase has partnered with Perplexity to help traders get access to real-time trusted crypto data info for better decision-making. There you go. So there's the collaboration, Coinbase and Perplexity. Perplexity Finance is actually a really good tool. I know Perplexity is trying to take over Bloomberg in the finance space, but there you go. Partnership with Perplexity and Coinbase. A lot of you are getting that Robinhood update, Cortex. Robinhood going red now. I do not have it yet, but a lot of people have been looking at it and said it's pretty cool. So I will let you guys know what it feels like when I get it, but I have not got it yet. All right, red candles across the board, folks. NVIDIA about to go red. Tesla barely holding on to 300. Palantir 4 cents away from going red. Hoodie goes red. It's been the same story every day this week. We pump for a good 15, 20 minutes, and then by 10 a.m., 10:30, we go red. We go red. Misty right here was Misty going green. Misty's actually, I mean, it was green yesterday based on Bitcoin running, but Misty 21.39. SoFi is still green, holding on to 21. Barely, but holding on to 21. UNH, dude, that Wall Street Journal headline, I guess, is really hurting them. I mean, it's been below 300 for the past couple of days. This was at 330 last week, so this one is a little bit of a nasty decline right here. This is just the Wall Street Journal article. They accused them of fraud again yesterday. Wall Street Journal denied it, but you know, the market's gonna do what the market does when it comes to these headlines. Will SoFi crash after earnings? That's a good question. What do we think? Dude, if SoFi crashes after earnings, like it would be heartbreaking because like it's just like it's officially breaking out, and a triple beat on earnings to get this stock to crash would not be fun to see. It would not be fun to see. I don't think so, dude. I would bet no. I don't think the sentiment is the same like it's been the past couple of years. And if it does, I feel like it would be one of the most manipulated earnings ever. If they have a triple beat and they take it down somehow, I mean, that would be just ridiculous. So with rate cuts on the way, it would be very hard for me to see that happening. But if it does, I think it's going to be an opportunity. I think a lot of people will be like, all right, cool. I get to buy SoFi 50. Now 15 will seem like an opportunity. 15 will be the dip, right? It's like if Robinhood falls to 80, people will be like, all right, that's my dip. And that's the cool part about hitting new all-time highs. Every time it actually takes a meaningful, 10, 15% drop, people think that's the opportunity. Yeah, DOD deal with the MP. We talked about that. That's why that stock is up right here, 55%. Tesla about to go red, potentially 302. It was at 307.92. S&P basically flat. SoFi below 21. And then Googs just above 175. Dude, Oscar, like all the insurance names just getting hit badly on the big, beautiful bill. But Oscar as well, 1596. That one getting hit. BMNR as well. That one was down 20%. It was a bit more green in the pre-markets, but yeah. See, the problem is, I mean, dude, like if you bought this at 160 on Thursday last week, you're just not feeling good about yourself, right? But the question is, if you buy it at 53, is this thing going to be at 20? Because at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything fundamental for why it ran the way it did. But if you bought it at 4, you probably feel like crap that you didn't sell at 160, but you're not necessarily upset that, it's at 53 because you're still up a good chunk. So there's going to be a question if the Ethereum treasuries really have some juice behind them. Ethereum right here, 27.85. That one's up a little bit. It was up 6% yesterday, so Ethereum catching a little bit of a bid. But still, the ETH treasuries are massively outperforming some of these names. Big Bear AI, is that one tanking today? Oof. Down 7%. There she goes. That one's taking a hit. And then NVIDIA is also taking a hit below 163. Very similar to the past couple days, folks. We're green and then we're not. We're green and then we're not. Which honestly, like, I know we're not getting a ton of upside, but we're not seeing a ton of downside either. Staying flat to me is actually relatively nice. And if we don't lose any of these gains, I think that's better than, or I think that's at least good versus, getting a ton more gains if the market's just not ready for it yet. We are so spoiled. Exactly. We are so friggin' spoiled, bro. So friggin' spoiled. Where's Bull? Where's Webull? I have covered calls on this for 15 this week. Webull 1286. That's down 2.7%. I wouldn't buy Webull. I mean, I bought it just for the hell of it, but it's not like a real investment thesis. That's exciting in my opinion. But hopefully can yield some premium every week off the covered calls. What else? What else? What else? Do we see Nubank's getting hit hard? Well, this makes sense, dude. Nubank, I mean, again, a lot of their businesses in Brazil, and Trump just started a trade war with Brazil. So I could understand why Nubank's getting hit. 1301. Potentially down below 12% or below 13 right here. Where's Lemonade? That's another insurance name. Is that one getting hit? Lemonade. Yeah, dude, what the heck? Lemonade's down 5%. Oh my, the insurance names just getting dogged out. Lemonade, Oscar, and UNH. Lemonade and Oscar being some of the more hypey retail names. All of them taking a bit hit. Nubank could be a taco trade if Trump reverses on Brazil. But, you know, you just have to take, you got to ask yourself, do you want to take that risk? But absolutely, it could be a taco trade if those 50% tariffs are just not there anymore. I don't think there's any macro. Let me see if there's any macro news. Again, initial jobs claims were great this morning. Came in way better than expected. Crude oil's down 2% today. This is also really good for the airlines. Let me see Delta, because their main input cost is oil. Delta right here up 13%. So Delta doing great. But there's not like any major headline. I think it's just algos and people taking profits. That's it. I think that's what we're seeing here. Have you looked into dLocal? I have not looked into dLocal. I've heard about this name. From my understanding, they're a payments provider in Latin America, if I'm not wrong. One that maybe we do a deep dive on that. But I would like to. Oh, Tom Lee, he's on CNBC. Let's see what Mr. Tom Lee has to say. Here we go.
MP are surging this morning.
The company says it's at move percent. Strut Capital Chief Investment Officer, also a CNBC contributor. Good to have you, Tom. So how are you, if we could just take a step back, how are you thinking about the whole NVIDIA phenomenon at $4 trillion against this backdrop of just broad AI demand, as well as just appetite in the market for kind of this risk on sentiment as made evident by the Bitcoin move?
Well, to me, NVIDIA being the most valuable company in the S&P makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's scarce. I mean, how many NVIDIAs are there in the world, right? There's 50,000 stocks. There's one NVIDIA. And so it is scarcer than like Da Vinci. So I do think the multiple at around 30 times is actually not that extended given how important they are to the AI ecosystem. So I think there's earnings visibility and then there's multiple expansion potential.
Multiple expansion potential for NVIDIA as well as just the broader NASDAQ from here. Do you think there are significant catalysts to the upside?
Yeah, I think to the extent that there's companies that are producing durable, sustained earnings growth, whether it's the Palantirs or the NVIDIAs or the Teslas of the world, they do deserve higher multiples. And you know, something that we've been writing about is how this market endured 6 essentially black swans in the last 5 years, thrived in terms of earnings. Normally, we would assign a higher market multiple to that. And believe it or not, the mean S&P PE, so if you do the S&P equal weight, was 17.9 on the eve of COVID. It's about 0.7 turns lower today. We're like at a 16 mean multiple, meaning the market got cheaper after 6 black swans. I almost think we should be expanding that PE.
There are some complaints this morning about, again, market concentration, right? When you got the top 10, is it 40% of market cap? Something. NVIDIA alone's almost 8%.
That's right. But then again, these exact companies are a huge share of earnings growth, you know? So I think that the S&P is benefiting from the fact that it is sitting at the center of AI, which is a huge global driver of CapEx spend. It's going to help S&P earnings. And then the other piece is, of course, financial innovation, which is taking place. I mean, Circle and the cryptos have shown that that's another piece where there's a lot of earnings growth. And again, that's a growing share of the S&P.
Tom, I wanted to spend a minute, if I can, talking about a company called Bitmine Emergent Technologies. You recently became chairman of that company, correct?
Yes, that's right.
I want to ask you a few things and just see if I've got this right. Now, the stock, I mentioned, it hit 161 very recently. It's been very volatile. The company did a PIPE, 250 million, I think sold as many as 55 million shares at, I guess, 450 or so a share, correct?
Yes.
Those shares have not yet been registered. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
They will eventually be registered.
Okay, I want to make that point because, you know, when you look at FactSet, you got 6 million shares out. It's a 300 million or so market cap, but that's not the case. This has got 61 million shares outstanding, at least, and a market value, therefore, even at 55, that is many billions of dollars, correct?
That math works.
Okay.
I'm following your math.
You're going out, you're spending the 250 million to buy Ether, is my understanding, or maybe a little Bitcoin, but mostly Ether.
Yes, it is for Ethereum.
Okay, and so this trades at a huge multiple to the amount of Ether you conceivably could buy with the money that was raised in the PIPE.
Yes, I mean, in the press release, you know, there's a sort of a discussion about Ethereum treasury strategies, and to us, there is like a logic to what these companies are trying to do, because one, they're actually going to be using whatever relative premium exists to actually use capital markets to grow their Ethereum holdings.
Okay, so meaning what, you can add value to the overall holdings that you have through things that can be done in the Ethereum ecosystem.
Yes, as well as like taking advantage of the premium that exists in capital markets activities.
I see.
And of course, you know, I think that there is really a rediscovery of Ethereum that's taking place, because Ethereum itself is one of the best performing crypto assets. You know, it's up, I mean, annualizing,
right.
It's really taken off recently because the stable coin is the ChatGPT moment for crypto. Circle has blown the doors open. There's a lot of interest now on Wall Street getting involved with Ethereum and building stable coins. That's 30% of Ethereum's network usage today.
Right, but it is a technology in addition to, it's not just like Bitcoin, which is sort of seen as
that's right,
almost a gold. It is a technology. I mean, it could lose market share as well, couldn't it, to the likes of Solana?
That's true, but when you see like the JP Morgan stablecoin, it's being built on Ethereum.
Right.
Robinhood is building their tokenizing business on Ethereum. So as what they call a layer one, Ethereum is like the preferred choice for Wall Street. It already is more than 60% of all the tokenized real world assets, and I think that share is growing. If stablecoins grow to over 2 trillion, as Treasury Secretary Bessent predicts, that's an exponential usage of Ethereum and the Ethereum token. So it's really positive for Ethereum. And incidentally, the Circle trades at around 100 times EBITDA.
Understood. But I just want to make the point to people who are buying the stock, because you have a big following, a retail following as well, that they are paying many multiples of the value of the Ether you're buying at this point. My understanding as well is you have an at-the-market share program also. Isn't that correct?
Yes. There is an S3 that has been filed. I'm not really able to comment on, you know, what I would see as the valuation of the company, but
well, I can do it right now based on the number of shares that are outstanding, which is something like 60 plus million. And then I don't know what you're selling under the ATM. And I multiply it by 55 and I get a number that's above $3.5 billion.
I believe your math is correct.
Okay.
I would trust your math.
All right. So that's 11, 12 times the value of the Ether that you have. I mean, I'm just doing quick math here.
Yeah, or it depends on really how much is being accomplished through all these combination of activities as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do you see yourself evolving into a new line of work, given this role?
Well, my focus is FundStrat. That is our genetics. That is my job for the last 35 years, which is I'm a student of markets and really trying to help investors discover, you know, what drives markets and great equity ideas. I mean, to me, that is my genes, and I think on my gravestone it'll say Tom Lee, FundStrat. So I think if anyone's worried, FundStrat is still my focus. We are, you know, a research business. We have now an asset management business with 1.6 billion of AUM, and so that is, you know, my prime focus. But to me, there is a lot. I have a lot of interest in really what is happening with the convergence between Wall Street and crypto, and I think that's what attracted me to be involved with something like an Ethereum treasury strategy.
Right. Well, you are now the chairman of a public company that could have a market value as soon as those shares get registered of well more than $3 billion. Just right.
Yes, and I believe your math, David.
Okay. Well, my math's simple.
Yes,
This is not complicated stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of mental math. All right. Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate it.
Take a look at our roadmap for the
All right. That's Tom Lee. By the way, JetBlue, Triple V favorite. This one's up 9% right here. So this one having some fun. Look, I think these are fair questions that they're asking about BMNR because at the end of the day, I mean, like, yeah, dude, you're paying 12 times the value of their Ethereum. They just filed a $2 billion at the money yesterday. And at the money offering is essentially the company reserves the right to dump shares, meaning issue new shares at whatever price at the money, ATM. And they can do it at 53, at 100, at whatever the price is. And they can raise that capital, but then you as a shareholder get diluted, right? And then they haven't even bought their Ethereum yet. And they haven't actually issued all the preferred shares that they said they would put out the day that the announcement actually came public. Right now, it says it has 6 million shares outstanding, but it doesn't actually have 6 million shares outstanding once they put out all the new shares based on the pipe deal that they did. So whether it's 10 times, 11 times, 12 times, you are paying a pretty aggressive premium for the amount of Ethereum they're going to have on the balance sheet. And the question just becomes, do you want to pay that much? And some investors will. Some investors won't. Some investors don't know what the hell they're paying for. They're just buying it because of Tom Lee, and it's going up and down, and that it is what it is. But I think those are fair questions to ask. And Bitmine right here down about 20%. Still up a lot from when they first announced, but they are down from that 150 range. SoFi right here, 2070, AMD 143, S&P 623, Tessie 305.79 right now. What else do we see? BTBT, how's that one doing? That's another Ethereum treasury. That one down 2.65, and then SBET was up a little bit on the day. Yeah, now it's up about 1.7. Folks, we're red. I mean, like, it's red candles across the board. It's not aggressive red candles, but it is red candles. And we're not really seeing that, you know, July tends to be a really good month. We're not really seeing a ton of those gains yet in the first 10 days of July. Estee Lauder having a great month, or a great day so far, up 6%. But not seeing it in other areas. Vlad's on Bloomberg. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can get him live. Let's see if we can get Vlad live on Bloomberg, if he's there. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see if he's there. The Qs are down. S&P is kind of unchanged. Yeah, that is also true. Okay, I don't see him on this screen. Let me check another one. He was on CNN this morning as well. I think he was. Let me see. Let's see if I can pull this up. Bloomberg Television. Do we have Mr. Vlad here? No, he's not. Okay, so he might have been on a while ago. He was on CNN, though. I can pull that clip up right here. He was on CNN earlier this morning.
CEO of Robinhood says he believes his platform's stock tokens will change how investing is done. Now, the trading app is giving away tokenized equities to eligible European users. Robinhood says they're basically shares of a company in the form of blockchain-based tokens. The platform even has them for private firms like OpenAI and SpaceX. Now, the Lithuanian central bank, which does regulate Robinhood in Europe, has asked it for clarification about how the product is structured. I spoke with Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev earlier today. He told me that stock tokens will open up immense opportunities for investors.
I think tokenization is perhaps the biggest innovation in capital markets since the central limit order book. So what it allows is for any asset, public or private, liquid or illiquid, to be put on crypto technology and be tradable around the clock. And at our event, To Catch a Token, in the south of France last week, we unveiled a few features that I think were extremely meaningful, not just for our EU customers, but for the industry. One is stock tokens of over 200 public names, including, you know, all the popular ones like NVIDIA, Amazon, Tesla, and so forth. We also did a giveaway of private stock tokens, as you mentioned, OpenAI and SpaceX. And I believe those were the first stock tokens of those companies issued on a public blockchain.
If this operates like a derivative, right? How do you actually adhere to any kind of value? Because companies like OpenAI, they don't disclose everything publicly about what goes on with their finances.
Yeah, so the way these work is the company obtains exposure to an underlying asset. In the case of private stock tokens, we do make every effort to make sure that the exposure that we offer to customers is backed one for one. And I believe that this can be scalable to many private companies. Many have reached out expressing interest to be part of the tokenization revolution. It could also be extended to many types of assets. You can imagine art, real estate, all kinds of illiquid names can be tokenized in this form and made available to investors on chain.
So pretty much the same stuff he's been saying. I mean, nothing too different that we've heard. Vlad's been doing a bunch of interviews the past couple of days and basically trying to clarify what this tokenization product is, which I think makes a lot of sense, but obviously it's going to need a lot of regulatory approvals as well to become as large as the industry wants it to become. QS, is that one moving? QS QuantumScape, that's up about 4%. IONQ is down 1%, and Rigetti is also flat on the day. We're not seeing, I mean, we're not really seeing that much. Nvidia's down, Tesla trying to hold 305. S&P literally flat, 0.01% move on the day. SoFi just below 21. Outside of the airlines and some of the rare earth mineral companies, we're not seeing anything too crazy. Delta right here still up 13%. JetBlue getting some love from that, and so is United Airlines. JetBlue up 9%. United Airlines up 11%. CC is running. CC, this is up 5%. This is a $2 billion company, chemicals company. Okay, so that one is getting some love. Bitcoin is still trying. We looked at EL already. That one is green. Pound here goes red. Yeah, it's the same story. Past couple of days, same story. And quite frankly, we don't need to have some massive move every other day, given how green we were over the past couple months. Money market funds, by the way, we're going to get new updates this morning, but we looked at the ones from last week. 55 billion were added to money markets. 7.08 trillion on the sidelines now. So all that money is just waiting for rates coming. The S&P 500 is at all-time highs, and we have 7 trillion on the sidelines. I mean, that to me is market participants saying, hey, we will jump back in if you lower these rates. And when they do, if the markets are continuing to be at all-time highs, I mean, they're going to be buying stocks at much higher levels, which is going to be good for the broader market. Market is slow consolidating. This might go on all month. Yeah, I agree with that as well. And I think that's healthy. It might not be as exciting. And there are some pockets of opportunities that we're seeing across the board. S&P just went green, but it's definitely healthy for some of this consolidation. We're all just so spoiled, bro. We are all just so spoiled. We're seeing rotation into some beatdown names, which is good. Yeah, that is also fair. That is also fair. Verizon right here. That one is green on the day. Let me pull up CoreWeave. This one down 3.2s. CoreWeave and Nebius. CoreWeave is still CoreWeave is still holding a massive multiple. Nebius right here is flat, 45 from 53 to 45, but CoreWeave went from like 180 now down to 147. It's still pretty aggressive, but that one also has been taking a breather. When is your chair showing up? I think like in 2 weeks. For those that haven't noticed, I did get a new chair yesterday. Well, you don't see it here. I got it on Amazon because, yeah, it officially, last night, it was just too much for this 10-year-old chair, 15-year-old chair. It was too much. So, yeah, I officially took advantage of Prime Day and got a new chair because it is what it is. It happens. It happens. So, should have a new chair in a little bit. Okay, let's see what else we got going on. I don't see any other crazy headlines. I mean, it's one of those algo days, really. That's what it kind of feels like. Amit is the richest poor guy I know. Dude, I didn't feel like I needed a new chair. I've had this chair for so long. But yesterday it finally broke. Like when the arm breaks off, you're like, okay, I should probably invest in a new chair. it might be time. Here's an update right here on Delta and their earnings. Again, the guidance is what really got the street to be a bit more excited.
And reinstating their 2025 profit outlook. Earnings call is now underway. Stocks up almost 13%. Our Phil LeBeau talked to Ed Bastian this morning and joins us with more. Hey, Phil.
And Carl, what we will expect on that call are a number of questions about what's going to happen to capacity after the summer. We talked with Ed Bastian about that earlier this morning. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. You mentioned that they beat on the top and the bottom line. That was the initial pop that you saw in shares before the market, but then it's continued in part because of the company's guidance, not only for the third quarter. As you take a look at the third quarter, expecting to earn between $1.25 and $1.75. The street's at $1.31 for all of 25. Remember, they pulled it after the first quarter. They are reinstating it, their guidance, 525 to 625. The street's at 539. Important point here. Remember in January, after they reported their Q4 results and they gave their guidance for the year, they expected to earn at least $7.35 a share. What's changed? Well, the economy class consumer has pulled back. Premium revenue, it still continues to grow. We've talked about this for some time. Delta has been among the leaders in the industry in terms of driving premium revenue growth, up 5% compared to a year ago. But the main cabin, that's where the softness is, down 5% compared to Q2 of 24. Here's Ed Bastian on Squawk Box talking about the state of the consumer and capacity cuts.
Main cabin is down 5%, and that's where you have your most price-sensitive customers. You'll see post mid-August is you'll see industry capacity, particularly in the main cabin domestically, coming down significantly. Delta's doing that. I think all the other airlines are doing some level of that. We actually expect to see domestic seats in the main cabin negative starting in August.
For the industry.
For the industry and Delta.
Well, that is good enough for guidance, and that's what's getting some love right here on Delta, which is kind of our big mover of the day. Arpita asks, hey, can you give me some better DD on MP? Because I'm thinking of exercising some options and I want to understand the bear case. I would love the chat to contribute here if anyone knows what the major bear case is for MP, Rare Earth Mineral Company. My understanding is the major bear case on these are the deal that we have with China, because China is the largest source of rare earth minerals, and the United States just theoretically signed a deal with China around these. I believe MP has some presence in China, so if anything goes wrong with that deal, even from a headline perspective, which is how the stock has been trading all year anyway. Today, the headline was just the best headline you could imagine, right? Because you have the Pentagon take a stake. That could be part of the bear case. But the demand for rare earth minerals is massive. So I don't think the bear case is rooted in lack of demand. That's not going to happen. But the technicalities and logistics of this would be the issue. Bear cases, they lack production capacity. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? It's not that they're not going to have a customer to sell to. It's that they're not going to be able to make enough of them. Now, the question, what is the market cap of this thing? Market cap, $7 billion. What was their revenue last quarter? What's their revenue in a trailing 12 months? $203 million. Okay, so let's call it $800 million trailing 12 if we just multiply by 4. The revenue was down 20% year over year in Q4 2024. So you do have a little bit of growth declining. I mean, obviously that growth acceleration could be one of the bull cases for why people get excited about this. But they're trading at 6 times sales. That's not that crazy, especially given how critical rare earth minerals are, and Trump's been making that very obvious. Pouncy right here, 141. I don't know if it's a buy right here, but if you've got options you're trying to exercise on this and your option strikes are like maybe, I don't know, 25 to 30. I mean, literally it's up 50% today. So you're up 50% from those exact levels, 25, 30. But the idea that it can hold 50% is not crazy to me, especially now that they have the DOD backing them up. I mean, that's a hell of an endorsement right here to get them some love. MP was a Chamath's back, really? Was it? Was MP a Chamath's back? They IPO'd in 2020. Well, I mean, that's a 2020 IPO. It could be a Chamath's back. I don't know about the history of this one. Fell all the way to 10 back in August 2024. Now it's at 45. Yeah, I did not know it was a Schmotzback. It was a Schmotzback. Wow, I did not know that. All right, well, that doesn't take away the fact that they have plenty of demand for the industry, but in rare earth minerals. But I did not know it was a Schmotzback. I wonder if Chamath actually comes back with a SPAC, bro. Because remember he said on Twitter the other day, he's like, hey, I'm thinking of coming out with a SPAC. I would love to see if he actually does do that. Okay, so Palantir did get an upgrade by Dan Ives. Dan didn't really say much, though. He just said we're upgrading it to 160. You know, his upgrades tend to be a little bit more like just kind of throwing out a number, to be honest. He didn't really put out a massive report. So I don't think that upgrade was going to have a big impact on it today. But still holding 140s, which is nice. Mercado Libre is down, probably also because of the Brazil stuff. They do have a portion of their business in Brazil, and the 50% tariffs could be affecting them. Upgraded by Shut Up. Dude, I love Dan Ives, but he's just like, he doesn't really give the most analysis on some of these names. Like, I do love, you know, how he thinks about some of these tech stocks, but I mean, there are many moments where, you know, he's kind of talking about it more as a surface level versus super nitty gritty. And I don't think he would be able to explain how he justifies 160. But regardless, he's been right on the thesis for, you know, the line. He was one of the only people on Wall Street besides Bank of America who's been right on the thesis. Could I see Palantir going to 160 by end of year? Yeah, I could see it happening after earnings. But I mean, again, we're going to need a big daddy earnings. We're going to need one of those earnings where it's like 45, 50% growth. And if we don't get there, it's already at a $330 billion market cap. Just staying at this level is not a bad thing. The idea that we need to get 500 billion, 450 billion in market cap on subpar growth, which 40% growth is amazing, but it's just not NVIDIA type of growth, right? It's hard to justify that. It's hard to ask for that. And so I think just holding on to the gains matters a lot more than having to get more if the momentum isn't there. Oh, we got a Trump tweet. What is he saying right here? That's a long ass tweet. Dude, what is he talking about here? He's quote tweeting someone saying that it's clear Trump was framed. Framed about what? He says, thank you, Greg, for the amazing reporting. Greg Jarrett shows that I was framed. The collusive narrative was a conspiracy itself. What narrative is he talking about? Oh, the Russia hoax. Okay, when you go down the tweet. The Russia hoax. So Trump is quote tweeting a journalist that is saying that Trump was framed for the Russia hoax. Okay, so he's going back to the 2018 FBI case on Trump collaborating with Russia. And he's tweeting. Why is he tweeting about the Russia hoax from 2018 in the morning? The Russia collusion. It's not about Epstein. No, he's not talking about Epstein. He's about, okay, all right, we just got another tweet. Here we go. 1 minute ago. Here we go. Tech stocks, industrial stocks, and NASDAQ hit all-time high, record highs. Crypto through the roof. NVIDIA's up 47% since Trump tariffs. USA is raking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. The country is now back a dollar credit, or a great credit. Fed should rapidly lower rate to reflect this strength. USA should be at top of list, no inflation. Dude, he's not speaking in sentences here. He's just throwing out phrases. He's just throwing out phrases. Let me tweet this so you guys can see this. Trump says NVIDIA is up 47% since tariffs and Fed should lower rates. These aren't even sentences at this point, bro. And it's all caps. It's all caps. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Here you go. You can see it right there. It's all caps, and it's just like NVIDIA's up 47%. USA is taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. Country is now back. A great credit. Fed should rapidly lower rate to reflect this strength. It sounds like a tweet where he's running out of characters. Like, you know, so you like take away the S on something or whatever, but like there are no character limits on Truth Social. It's his platform. So I don't know why it's like reading this, it doesn't feel like it's real sentences, but there you go. If this tanks, though, it's Biden's market. If this market tanks, we're in Biden's market. But for now, it's Trump's market. I'll just say, bro. Oh, we didn't even talk about the news last night. We talked about it a little bit on the Grok stream, but we didn't get to talk about it on the market open today. Sean Duffy is now going to become the interim director of NASA, and Trump appointed him yesterday. Jared Isaacman, who was supposed to be the director of NASA, who Elon really wanted to be the director, got rejected because Trump said he was too much of a Democrat. That was his exact phrasing. And I think that's what pissed off Elon even more than the big, beautiful bill, to be honest. And yeah, he picked Sean Duffy to be the interim director. I will say, I think this week has been one of the worst weeks for the administration. I think the gaslighting on the Epstein situation, which you can have whatever theory you want about it, but the point is the American people, not even the American people, the world deserve to know what happened. And for Trump to say the case is done, there is no client list, aka Jeffrey Epstein did these horrible things, or he had these clients that did these horrible things, but there's no list of the clients. We have no idea who the clients are. These horrible things just happen, but there's no way to figure out who they happen to or how they happen. And then for Trump to be as dismissive as he was when Pam Bondi was asked a question and Trump said, we have all these great successes and you're worried about Jeffrey Epstein. It's like the level of gaslighting. And I would say that, you know, if it was Biden, Trump, I don't care, but the entire political apparatus is losing legitimacy if they're willing to lie about this. Because this is, you know, this is some of the most predatory behavior we've ever seen, right? Especially involving children. If they're willing to lie about this, it's one of those things that makes you wonder, like, what else are they really lying about? And again, Trump's has done some great stuff from an economic perspective, but that doesn't deny that this is one of those things that really makes you wonder what's going on. I think this was the best take I heard from journalist Sagar Enjeti. He's on Breaking Points. Here's what he said on Tucker Carlson's podcast about the Epstein situation.
The lie at this point is not even part of trying to convince any of this is true.
Yes.
The lie is a signal to everybody else involved in the scheme that to the ultimate ends, the United States government will go to protect all of you.
Yes.
And that's the for
Man,
what
is that smart?
purpose?
Can you say that again? Okay,
Yes.
so it's a signal.
The lie is not for you and me. The lie is for those implicated to say, no matter what, we will protect you. And then we have to start asking the question, why? As in, what is the purpose of this entire thing? The lie.
So I thought that was just one of the most incredible takes I've seen on this. And it relates back to what the Trump administration is doing, is that they're not lying to try to fool you and me, the general public, about what happened. They're lying because the people on that list, the people that are actually implicated in what has happened over the past 15 years in this situation, are, for lack of a better word, making sure that the lie does not get introduced. So it's not about fooling the public. They could care less about the public. It's about protecting the people that don't want the truth to get out. I was watching Bill Gates. Bill Gates did one interview about Epstein back in 2021, and he was asked about it. I mean, it's the most like as human beings, we can tell when someone's lying, right? Like if you're in the chat and you have a kid and you ask your kid, hey, did you clean your room? Like there's some obvious things your kid's going to look up. They're going to, not look at you. They're going to start stuttering. Like it's the most obvious forms of body language that you can tell when someone's lying. And they were just asking him like, what is your relationship with Epstein? And he's like barely answering. He's stuttering. It's like, that's not what a normal, like, dude, this guy is one of the smartest people on the planet. He built Microsoft. You're telling me he starts to stutter to talk about his relationship with Epstein? Microsoft right here down about 1%. It's scary stuff, bro. It is scary stuff. So to bring it back to investing, I think this was the biggest fumble of this administration, especially because Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, they campaigned on the idea of releasing the information. And so this entire week has just been an L. I mean, it's one of the saddest things we've seen. And I have no faith that the actual truth is ever going to come out now that the DOD and the FBI have closed the case. Maybe the next administration actually reopens it, but I mean, who knows? And so I think the MAGA base definitely felt disrespected this week. Now, markets are holding up. If we don't get any trade deals, I think that could be one of the things to hurt the markets going further. And if the markets tank, then you got some real pain coming for this administration from a public perception perspective. But markets are holding up, which is one of the things that's helping the admin right now. VRT is pumping. Is that up? VRT right here. Oh, shit. VRT is down 11%. Holy crap. Why is VRT down this much? Vistra is also down 3%. There must be a headline on some of these data centers. What about when they gave the influencers fake Epstein file? Yeah, I mean, they invited like all these influencers in January and then gave them this like fake like thing that had all this information. It had nothing. It had all redacted stuff. It was just like, it was all for show. It was all for freaking show. It really begs the question, bro. What, like, how and why is this happening? And why is every administration since 2008, when Epstein first got indicted and got the most sweetheart deal you could ever get in Florida? I mean, the dude was literally allowed to leave jail on Saturdays to go back to his beach house. And the jail he was in was not really that bad of a facility. And he only had 18 months in jail. I mean, like, when you really go down the rabbit hole, it's one of those things. Like, why is this being covered up? And we sound like conspiracy theories, but we're not. Like I just feel like every administration has been gaslighting the American public on the idea that it's not that big of a deal. It's like, no, it is. Like, the dude was indicted. He obviously was guilty. And then after 2008, he kept having all these people come to the island, and they knew that he was guilty. So the answer is why. The answer is why. VRT is down because Amazon launched their own cooling system. Let me see. Or their own cooling system. VRT. Oh, yeah, you're right. AWS develops its own in-raw cooling system for NVIDIA GPUs, citing inefficiencies in current solutions. Vertiv drops as Amazon's in-house IRHX design raises concerns about reduced dependency on third-party cooling tech. Boom, there you go. VRT, data. Look, I mean, this is great for Amazon, but if you're in some of these derivative data center plays, these are the risks that are associated with investing in them. Amazon right here down about 1%. SMCI is up a little bit. Dell is up a little bit. Wow, 13% on VRT. That's a nasty move. 11% right here. I don't think this means VRT is done as a business. I mean, like, there's massive data center demand, but obviously a big client building their own stuff in-house is not the most bullish for them. All right, there you go. That's why that's down. Yeah, down 10% from it. I also think, bro, like this whole Epstein stuff, this is like the most, like, I have seen almost 100% agreement on this. Like, usually when you talk about Trump and you give like an opinion on what he's doing politically, you'll have 50% that agree with you. Yeah, screw Trump. And then 50% that hate you. Oh, you're a libtard. You hate the MAGA movement, yada, yada. On this topic, it has literally been 99%, whether you're MAGA or not, of people saying, bro, enough is enough. Like, how could he possibly gaslight everyone into thinking that this is not a big deal? SoFi right here, 21.14. And so it is quite incredible. I have not seen an issue unite as many people as. I mean, I've been watching a lot of different political channels. I've been watching the left-wing media, the TYTs of the world. Then you get the independent media like the Breaking Points. You get the conservative stuff like Fox News. I mean, pretty much everyone is asking the same questions of just like, why? Why don't we have the truth here? Now, granted, I think they're not going to talk about this. I think unless there's a major whistleblower that comes out and like has some evidence that brings back the Epstein case to life, I think it's going to be swept under the rug. I think they're going to do everything they can do to move on from this. Obviously, we'll all be asking the question why, but I think they're going to hope that everyone just forgets about it. Which is very sad. Oh, we got another Trump tweet. Here we go. Too late demeans the great credit of the USA. We are now, again, the #1 credit in the world. Gigantic comeback. The Fed rate should be reflective of this. We should be at the top of the list. Lower the rate. This is just getting annoying, bro, every day, him tweeting about this. Like, it's not doing anything. Like, I don't know why he thinks tweeting this every day is going to get J-Pow to lower the rates, but yeah, there you go. Another tweet to lower the rates. And I agree with him here. I think J-Powell should be lowering rates. Like, I agree with him. But This is not the way. Tariffing Brazil by 50% in no way is going to get J-Pow to lower the rates. So just screaming to lower the rates and then putting on all these tariffs is like, I don't know. It's not going to be the smartest way to get this done. Yeah, it makes them look weak. I agree. Like it's losing political capital here. Like it's just like if something's not going to happen, you got to move on from it and find a different way to get there. I would say J-Pow's not lowering the rate because he's afraid of tariff inflation. And honestly, when Trump sends out like 50 letters in a week with rates of 30 to 50%, you can't blame J-Pow for feeling a little scared about not wanting to lower rates. Now, in the nuance of that is, I think J-Pow should be lowering rates. I don't think we deserve to be double the CPI on the Fed funds rate. I think 25 basis points would not kill anybody. So I think J-Pow's wrong there in being as restrictive as he is. But I also understand if he thinks there's going to be this massive wave of inflation from all these tariffs, he needs to see more data. I get it. But Trump's not making it that much easier by, instituting all these tariffs. And yeah, and the job report is good, bro. I mean, like, he can't really cut when we have a great labor market. The only way he can cut is if inflation comes down. The cuts are used as a tool to stimulate the economy. If the economy is already stimulated based on this labor market, now maybe the data is cooked and it's all fake, but if it's not, he can't point to a labor market showing weakness that would create some massive cut. But as I say that, I agree, 25 basis points is not going to hurt the world. It's going to make mortgages more affordable, auto loans more affordable. Like, it would be a net good thing for the American consumer. And so I don't know why exactly he's being that restrictive. But I do get why the tariff perception is not the easiest thing for J-Pow to deal with. What else do we see? Okay, so we looked at a couple of those posts. The dollar, where's the dollar right here? The dollar down today, $97.85. Right, the dollar getting a little bit of love. Let's get a little bit of coverage on the dollar and how it's pacing up right now.
And should we be concerned?
I think there's three main things driving the dollar. One is slightly lower front-end rates, interest rates over this period, because currencies trade on rate differentials. Yep. But I think more importantly, and what's different this time, is that you're seeing both reallocation out of the U.S., both by Americans diversifying and foreigners pulling back slightly. And then third, and really importantly, is hedging. So let's say I'm a large overseas pension fund and I have a tech equity exposure and I want to keep it because I believe in the structural story, but I'm nervous about the dollar. I'm nervous about the Fed's independence. I can hedge out that currency risk. So even if money stays in U.S. equities, which helps explain where we are today, you can still see that dollar weakness.
So as somebody who followed currencies for many years, very, very focused on them, do we have more weakness to come here? Do the things you just described augur for significant declines?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're down about 10% on a trade-weighted basis. It gets us to roughly fair value, but currencies never stop at fair value. They swing between over and undervalued. I think we have more downside, not just because of historical trends, but also because of this allocation shift. You know, people say, well, it hasn't happened yet. We haven't had this run on assets. I'm like, these things take time. You know, if I am, again, a large institutional investor, a sovereign wealth fund, a large pension fund, I have to go to my board and get approval. Then I have to decide how to implement the plan. The whole thing takes several months or quarters. So this isn't going to be a one-off. This is going to be a slow bleed out of the dollar, and I believe slowly out of U.S. Treasuries.
You snuck in Fed independence being a risk there, and I would like to follow up on that. How big a risk is it, in your opinion, given the continued jawboning and the possibility we get a new Fed chair who's very much more aligned with, if not under, the president's thumb?
I think it's a smallish risk in the grand scheme of things. And I say smallish because there isn't a way legally that I'm aware of today for the president to have a majority of the Fed to drive an FOMC decision. Even if he has the chair, even if he has Waller, Bowman, and replaces another Fed governor, Kugler, it's not enough votes to drive it. It's not like the Supreme Court situation. But what we are seeing already is the expectation of less Fed independence is causing a change in Fed funds expectations next year. So you see a kink in those expectations around May, June next year, where suddenly the market expects significantly lower interest rates. You also see it, I think, in slightly higher longer term inflation expectations. So whether
The tariff rates are what changes all of those expectations. S&P 500 right here, just slightly green, 624. So, I mean, Morgan Stanley did say that, right? That we would expect 6 to 7 rate cuts by the end of next year. But I think we do have to see what this August 1st deadline ends up looking like. We do have some Costco data right here. Costco reported June sales of $26.4 billion, up 8% year over year. So pretty in line with what the street would expect. Costco right here, basically flat, 979. 26 billion for the month of June in sales for Costco. We watched Noto already. If you scroll to the beginning of the show today, we watched Noto. I think it's in the timestamps as well. So it was a very short interview. I think it was like 7 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that. But he was basically talking about the new partnership they have with the companies that allow people to get access to private startups. So they talked about that. Robin right here, 9507. I don't know why cybersecurity is down today, actually. They're down across the board. Wow, CrowdStrike down 4%. I don't know if there was no major earnings. I don't think there's any headlines here. Yeah, I don't see any headlines on CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, or Fortinet, but all of them trading down on the day. Fortinet right here also down 4%. Yeah, we talked about Pelosi and Broadcom. She exercised her 20,000 shares in her 200 contracts. Netflix right here also down 2.5. S&P still green, but a lot of these other names taking a little breather. Yeah, AMD got upgraded by HSBC, so that one's been having a great day, up 4.5%. Everything else is flat. SoFi also 21. Holding on to 21 here on SoFi. Oh, we had this piece of news today. Ant Group from Jack Ma is adding Circle's USDC stablecoin. Ant International plans to integrate USDC once it is fully compliant in the US. This move comes as stablecoins gain traction after the Senate passed crypto rules in June. Ant Group was going to be one of the largest IPOs in 2020 before the CCP kind of gutted it. So this is a massive financial services firm. It looks like they're partnering with Circle. That's bullish stablecoins, bullish Circle. BM&R, Tom Lee's company, that one continues to get hit, dude, down 25%. That's 30 cents away from going below 50. So that one could be taking a little bit of a dump. Thoughts on Nike? I didn't look into their earnings, but apparently they, announced some stuff that shows there's going to be a rebound. Stock was basically at the lows, pumped up 20%. I mean, I wouldn't buy it here. I feel like there's other opportunities in the growth sector that I'd be excited about. But, if you bought at the 60s, I don't think you'd necessarily have to sell at 74. The absolute bottom was 52. So it was at 62 right before earnings and got a nice move here to 74. Yeah, QS is not quantum. QS is not quantum. They have quantum in the name, but it's not quantum. That one's up about 6%. Year to date, that's been a great name. I mean, it was around 3 to 4 back in April, May. I don't think it's about Tom Lee not being confident on BM&R. I mean, obviously, it's a public company, so there's things he can say, things he can't say. But I just think it's similar to MicroStrategy and Sailor, right? Like, at the end of the day, if you are invested in MicroStrategy, you believe that Sailor will take you to the promised land and get more Bitcoin per share. If you're investing in BM&R, that's going to be the same thesis on Ethereum. Now, that requires two things to happen. Number one, Ethereum has to go up long term. Bitcoin did go up. That's why Sailor was able to get MicroStrategy to 100 billion. Number two, you have to be ready for the company to do a lot of shit that you would never want a company to do in order to get more of the asset because you believe in the long-term thesis that the asset will go up and the company will give me operating leverage as they're trading at a premium to that asset, which is essentially what's happened with MicroStrategy. So that means they're going to have to dilute. They're going to have to do at-the-money offerings. That means it's going to be awkward. And when Tom Lee's asked about that, because basically he has to admit, yeah, we're dumping shares on anyone who's buying it. But if you believe Ethereum's going to 10,000, BMNR is probably going to be higher than what it is today. So I think a lot of the people that made money on MSTR, they had to look through all the bullshit to see MSTR get to the glory land, and Bitcoin like 5x'd, or more than 5x, like about 12x since Saylor started buying when it was at 8,000. And it worked out for the stock. For Ethereum, it's got to be a long journey. But the problem is a lot of people bought BMNR just for the hell of it last week. And that's why people are probably upset. And that you can't blame anyone but yourself about that, right? Like that's just, if you're chasing the hype, you're chasing the hype. But if Ethereum does what Tom Lee thinks it's going to do, then BMNR should outperform. But it's a question of, do you want to be on that journey for the next however many years? Same thing with SBIT. SBIT doing the same thing. And BT as well. Side note, I thought your black hoodie and jersey on top of the outfit was cool. I appreciate you. We're going to have to bring it back. We're going to have to bring back the jersey over the hoodie. Definitely woke everyone up in the morning, bro. Everyone had something to say about that, so it's good. It woke everybody up. Got to bring back the jersey over the hoodie. Dude, you know what we need to do? There needs to be stock market jerseys. Why isn't there a website that sells like Palantir jerseys or like Robinhood jerseys? Like literally, I feel like that's not a crazy business idea, right? Like you take NBA jerseys, you put the Palantir logo on it, and then the number could be, I don't know, I guess you could customize the number, and like if you put, I don't know, 100, it represents when Palantir got to $100. I mean, the number doesn't really work because it's like not a player, but I feel like jerseys for stocks is not the craziest idea. I was legit thinking about that the day you rocked the jersey. Like, I would absolutely rock a Palantir jersey or a Robinhood jersey or a Grab jersey or a Tesla jersey. And the reason people like the Michael Jordan jerseys is because they look so cool. Like this is like, imagine this right here. Instead of Bulls and Jordan in 23, it said Palantir. And then I don't know what we would do for the number. Maybe you don't have a number. Maybe you just have the logo. Like, I would rock that. Cost basis is your jersey number. Yeah, exactly, bro. Cost basis is your jersey number. Exactly. That would be hilarious. Okay, let me just pull this up real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's take a look at this clip as well. Oh, let's finish up with Vlad. Let's finish up with Vlad right here, and then we'll keep going from there. Here's Vlad finishing up on the tokenization stuff.
And Vlad, once again, I'm not disputing that maybe this is a revolutionary platform that a lot of investors want to get involved in, but it is basically betting. And to that point, EU regulation, they've already stepped in. Lithuania, who happens to be your EU regulator, has asked for clarification, right? What are you telling them?
Well, first of all, I think it's very, very different from betting. This is real exposure, and the assets backing this are exposure to the underlying private companies. Now, it is a little tricky because OpenAI in particular, nonprofit, the equity or equity-like instruments that they're distributing to institutional investors are also complex. That said, having exposure to retail, to the transformative companies of our era, particularly companies dealing with frontier technologies like artificial intelligence, I think is extremely important.
And to get back to that issue of regulation, do you see it being a concern for you going forward? And are you engaging with Lithuania at this point about what you're doing with these tokens? Because they've expressed concern.
Absolutely. And look, every time there's something new and innovative, I think our regulator should have questions. Robinhood needs to be a company that withstands scrutiny to the highest degrees. So we're excited about that. We believe that these products will withstand scrutiny and we will be able to make them available. And many companies have reached out expressing interest in this.
You know, given a lot of the innovations that you guys have come up with in the last year, you have an enviable stock run at this point in time. I mean, the one-year chart, more than 300%. Much of it, though, is on the back of crypto. And you've already said that you really believe this tokenization is just one part of bringing the blockchain and tokenization and crypto to the marketplace. Is that where you see most of your revenue growth coming from in the next, let's say, year or two?
I think there's two ways to look at crypto. One is as a tradable asset where it kind of sits alongside options and futures and stocks to some degree. But the other is as a fundamental technology layer where it's next in line in a long procession of fundamental technologies that underpin financial services, starting with, you know, filing cabinet, pen and paper, going to mainframe, where a lot of the incumbents still operate in, on-premise cloud, and crypto is sort of the next step. So I don't think it's as much of a question of what percentage of our business is crypto. I think in the future, crypto and traditional financial services will merge, and crypto will become akin to the underlying technology layer.
Vlad basically making the argument that crypto will become a technology that enables growth versus crypto trading being a revenue driver for the business, which it will be. But the technology enabling more different financial services, I think, is really where the future of what Robinhood thinks about. Dude, that's not a crazy idea, right? I see a lot of you guys in the chat saying this. Like, cost basis is a nice idea as your number on the jersey. Like, imagine your cost basis is 7 on SoFi. Like, tell me a NBA jersey with like SoFi and then 7 and then like the logo on the back. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. I feel like that'd be pretty freaking cool. Or like your price target is the number. Like, I feel like the website, if anyone wants to steal this business idea, go ahead. But like, you would just make it a customizable number. You would have to make the jersey look like a real NBA jersey. That's what would make it look nice. And then you have to put the logo on it. And then the name of the company has to kind of be in the same way that the name a lot of these sports teams are. Like, I would rock that. I would absolutely rock that. I think a jersey with sleeves would be better. Yeah, I mean, that could work too, versus just like a short sleeve one. It's so cringe. It's like flexing how rich I am. I don't think it's about flexing how rich you are. I think it's about repping like a company that you like, right? You're not putting like your position size on the jersey. I feel like it would just be a cool way to show it off. Wide number, just type Palantir on the to the moon. Would you wear it over a hoodie? You're damn right I would. I would absolutely wear it over the hoodie. Absolutely. You need copyright. That's true. Okay, you do need. That's fair. That's a good point. If you do take this business idea, you might end up getting sued by. I mean, I don't know if Robinhood would really sue you if you did this, but yeah, technically it would be illegal. That is fair. But I think it's a cool idea. I think it's a cool idea. You would only get in trouble if this becomes a really big business. I mean, if you sell like 5 or 10 of these, I don't think anyone's going to care. But if this ends up selling like thousands of jerseys, yeah, you're probably going to get a cease and desist by some of these companies. Oh, of course, right here. Look at Mr. Steve. 10:50 in the morning. He texts me some DD about XRP. This guy, bro, he can barely talk. He's sick, but he finds the time to text me about XRP. This is what he just texted me, dude. He's obsessed with this freaking coin. NASDAQ officially adds XRP to its digital asset listings. XRP becomes one of the first currencies to gain this level of visibility on a traditional exchange platform. I think Steve just like loves the XRP community. It's not like Steve has any significant part of his net worth in XRP, but he loves this community so much. And he loves sending DD about it. Where is XRP? XRP price 244. Okay. That one's up about 2% today. How about a hoodie that stays hoodie? Yeah, that'd be cool. Dude, I'm going to get a hoodie that says currently right now. I'm going to get a hoodie that says currently right now. I'm going to make it myself. I'm just going to wear it. I should say the time is always currently right now. I think that's what I'll put on it. Oh my gosh, Trump tweeted again about this Russia thing. He just tweeted a Fox article. Why is he talking about the Russia stuff again, bro? That's from years ago. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. XRP may be a bigger cult than Palantir or Tesla. I agree. I think you're right about that. No, I'm not going to do the hoodie as merch. I was just going to get it for myself and wear it. I think it would just be fun to wear it on stream. And I've currently right now. I wasn't going to like do merch or anything. I think it would be funny though, just to have that. Yeah, dude, markets are flat. We're not really, I mean, there's nothing that crazy. There's really nothing that crazy right here. It's kind of a little bit of the dog days. Oh, do we have the MP CEO? Okay, let's see about him. Here we go. We got the MP CEO, Congress, DOD took a nice big stake, 40% in this company. Let's see what he has to say about this deal.
In capacity, DOD will be MP's largest shareholder after buying $400 million of newly created preferred. Morgan Brennan's here at Post 9 with MP's chairman and CEO for an exclusive interview. Hey, Morgan.
Hey, Carl, that's right. And James Litinsky, welcome. Congratulations on the deal news.
Thank you. Hey, Morgan, great to see you.
All right, so this is quite a deal. I would argue this is an unprecedented deal with the DOD. We're looking at long-term package, convertible preferred equity, warrants, loans, price floor, and offtake commitments, all of which extend more than a decade. And you've also got JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs in the mix here. Break it down.
Sure, thanks. Well, first, I should and must thank the Trump administration, President Trump, the administration, and our partners at the Pentagon. I mean, this is, as you said, this is a very unique, unprecedented situation that we're in, and this is very...
Gotta kiss the ring. Gotta kiss the ring when your stock's up 50%. You have to kiss the ring.
Very bold, decisive action to deal with it. And the deal consists of three main parts. It's an investment in MP. It is price support for our commodity because, as we know, the Chinese have kept prices well below markets, the market well below levels where anyone can adequately make money or get a return on capital in the free market. And then lastly is an offtake contract for us to accelerate investment. And so when you add up this package, what it is it is going to significantly accelerate the development of this entire full supply chain. And it's really a win-win-win, Morgan, because obviously it's a win for MP shareholders. We're going to accelerate our mission, and clearly the market recognizes the new economic platform that we have. But it's a win for the U.S. government and for commercial industry because we're going to get this supply chain for our downstream industry, and the government's going to solve an important national security concern. And then lastly, it's really a win for the U.S. taxpayer because this was a tough bargain. It was a very heavily negotiated deal. The U.S. taxpayer has a significant amount of upside in this. So DOD will participate both as an owner and upside in the economics from our commodity as well as magnets.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the government take stakes in or even nationalize companies before, but it's always happened either in times of crisis or wartime. So why this deal now? And perhaps just as importantly, given the fact that this means you're going to be pulling more material out of the earth, you're going to be able to refine more material more quickly, and then, of course, expanding capacity for these rare earth magnets at a dramatic rate. How quickly can that happen?
Well, Morgan, I want to be very clear. This is not a nationalization. In fact, we remain a thriving public company. We now have a great new partner in our economically largest shareholder, DOD. But we still control our company. We control our destiny. We're shareholder driven, and they want that. What this is it's unique. We're in a very unique time. We're in a time where we essentially, our economy and our strategic supply chains, we have Chinese mercantilism, which is a real adversary for us. And so I'd like to think that this is sort of the first. It's a model. We have to deliver at MP and show that this is an incredible route to go. But this is what this really is it's a new way forward to accelerate free markets, to get the supply chain onshore that we want, and make sure that mercantilism is not going to hurt our ability to do so. And so, again, this is a new kind of economic challenge that we have. And I think, again, you really have to credit the Trump administration and the Pentagon for sort of recognizing the challenge, seeing what solution needs to happen, and then moving forward with it. And so that.
So basically, giving credit to the DoD, S&P 500 making a little bit of a better move right here, 625, $1 away from all-time highs. Giving credit to the DoD for recognizing the urgency and necessity for rare earth minerals, and then providing the infrastructure from a supply chain and logistics perspective, and then obviously from a financial perspective by taking the stake in the company to back them up on their mission to, become a company that can supply rare earth minerals. So, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. And stock right here feeling the love, 47% on the day. NVIDIA right here, 162, Tesla 305. We're starting to see some green candles come back. Kind of got through that 1030 slam, not at their high of days yet, but they are a bit green. SoFi above 21, AMD 144, S&P again, very close to all-time highs. NVIDIA not breaking through 164 yet. And then Tesla back above 306. Sundar just tweeted, since I.O. in May, people have created 40 million videos with VO3. Wow. Not bad. Has anyone tried this thing? You have to be an Ultra Pro subscriber, which costs like $200 a month. And I've not subscribed to that, but I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. We've seen a lot of demos of these videos, and 40 million videos is pretty aggressive. I mean, there's definitely a lot of usage. That's the other thing on Google that this earnings is going to be important to see, their subscription revenue, because that $200 a month offering is like basically everything Google can give you: YouTube Premium, Gmail, advanced storage, all that stuff, and then all their AI stuff in one thing for $200 a month. And so I wonder, how many people maybe said, I'm going to cancel all my other AI tools. I'm just going to subscribe to Ultra Plus, pay $200 a month, and how much that ends up becoming a revenue driver for Google. But that's going to be one thing we have to look out for onto the internet. I mean, I would do that, bro, because I have a bunch of different AI tools. If I, like, for example, I was sometimes when I upload a video, I need like an AI audio enhancer, because the audio is not the best. And I think I subscribed to some website for $10 to like just make the audio better and like take out a ton of the buzziness and all that stuff using AI. If Google could just like do everything for me in one subscription, and all of my workflows are integrated through an Ultra Pro subscription, I would definitely subscribe to that. The problem is I don't like Gemini as much as Grok. And maybe I haven't given Gemini enough of a fair shot yet, but it's like as a chatbot, it's not. But Google AI overviews are incredible. And I use that, honestly, probably more than I use Grok, to be honest. So it's one of those things to kind of see how that would play out. BM&R right here, that one's recovering a little bit. It was down almost 25%. Now it's down 14%. Shout out to Timothy. He just sent me this. Speaking of the jerseys, look at that, bro. Tell me you wouldn't want to rock that. Tell me you wouldn't want to rock that. Obviously, well, this one you wouldn't get sued, actually. Because, okay, if you put the logo, you'd get sued. But you have to get rid of the Nike logo, right? Because it's not Nike. But they can't sue you for PLTR or for HOOD or for TSLA. So I guess if you have the ticker symbol and the number, but you don't have the logo, you can't get sued. There's no way. Like, they can't sue you for just 4 letters being together on a jersey. There's no way they could do that. Obviously, with the logo, it becomes different. But I feel like, I mean, maybe they could still sue you. I don't know. Like, maybe there's some legal way they justify it. But that could be a way it works. Looks nice, right? It looks nice. Just say it's your initials. Yeah. PLTR are my initials. The number would be your cost basis, or I don't get how we define. I think the number has to be like your cost basis, or maybe your price target. Isn't there that like a, I don't know, a bunch of people say Palantir to 500, or like 500 is when Palantir becomes a $1 trillion company. So maybe that's the number, 500, right? NVIDIA 164. 164 represents the world's first $4 trillion company. Like, that 164 has meaning, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's something there. Yeah, so many people have averages at 7. So Palantir 7. Like, HIMS 100 is a joke in the HIMS community, right? Everyone says HIMS to 100, which it probably will get there one day, right? But it's become a meme, so 100 could be there. I don't know. I think there's an idea here. I think it looks cool. All right, folks. I think that's it for us today. I will be meeting up with Mr. Adam Bergman. He'll be on the show next week. He's going to be on my side of New Jersey today, so I'm going to go get lunch with him in a bit. But he'll be on the show next week. Nothing too crazy happening in the markets. We'll be live for the market close in a bit. We'll get money market inflows today. No earnings outside of Delta. And then next week, we get back into the financials for the markets. Word of the day. By the way, did you guys know that denial is a river in Egypt? Did you guys know that? I just want to make sure everyone knows that, because there was some idiot yesterday on Twitter who was saying denial is a river in Jordan. And I had to correct him. And I was like, dude, it's in Egypt. It's not in Jordan. It's in Egypt. But yeah, I just want to make sure, because if you were to say the Nile, which sounds like the Nile, but it's the Nile, is a river in Jordan, you would sound like an idiot. So I just want to make sure no one sounds like an idiot. Okay, word of the day. Debonair. Debonair.
Debonair.
Debonair. Courteous, gracious, and having a sophisticated charm. Debonair. Okay. She made introductions with a debonair poise, as if grace came to her naturally as gravity. For picture day, the parents dressed their kids in debonair blazers and tiny silk cravats. Has anyone heard of this word? I've never heard of this word. Debonair. Courteous, gracious, and having a sophisticated charm. Okay. Debonair. That's what we got. If someone is charming, you are debonair. This was an easy one. This wasn't too hard to say. The last couple words this week have been a bit more aggressive. It's a magazine? Really? Debonair magazine? Oh shit, it is a magazine. Wait, this is an old magazine though. This is like this is an Indian magazine. Holy crap, look at this. From years ago. Yeah, this is an old one, bro. Debonair. It's a magazine. Wow. I did not know that. All right. Well, it also means charming. So there you go. All right. That is it for me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll be back on the market close in a few hours. Adam will be on next week. Again, Adam, he's been doing a lot of option selling, so we'll do a segment on different stock that he's looking at for selling options. And we'll keep going from there. It's a highbrow word. Yes, exactly. It's a highbrow word. I just want everyone to know denial is a river in Egypt, not Jordan. Because anyone who would make the mistake to say denial is a river in Jordan, they don't know what they're talking about from a geographic perspective. So I just want to make sure everyone knows denial is a river in Egypt. So I was the idiot yesterday who tweeted denial is a river in Jordan. You know how people say denial is a river in Egypt as a way to just like you're making a joke with someone when they're denying something. I tweeted to Nate. I was like, denial is a river in Jordan. And then I showed off the joke yesterday on the Grok stream, and I was like, guys, that's a pretty original joke, right? And I was like, you fucking idiot. It's in Egypt. I was like, what? Nile's in Egypt? But now I found out that Nile's in Egypt. So find out something new every day, bro. We found out how to say fettuccine. We found out denials in Egypt. We found out it's scarce, not scarce. I mean, I think we learned a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that is supposed to be common knowledge this week. Yes, it's a play on words. Exactly. It's a play on words. I was not valedictorian, but I was number 4 in the class, bro. I should have been valedictorian, bro. I had a 4.25 GPA. I was like 0.27 away from valedictorian. The only reason I wanted to be valedictorian is to give the speech, because I love yapping. And I knew the valedictorian gets to give a speech. So I was like, I really wanted to be valedictorian to give the speech. But I missed it by 3 spots. And I didn't get to give the speech. So it is what it is. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back later for the market close. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.